All right, and welcome to the 2013 annual Golden Bacon Awards, Nerd to the Third Power's yearly awards show. We look back on 2013, the highs, the lows, the creamy middles, pick out the best and worst of all of geekdom of 2013. I am your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo, and with me, as always, the one, the only, the beautiful, the Cat. Cat, how are you doing?
Oh, we're all here. No, I'm doing excellent. I should be hyper for this because this is amazing good times.
Yes. So do you want to start that again, or?
No. Sorry, I'm like totally wiped from my new job.
And also with us is the beautiful Skyblaze. Skyblaze, how you doing?
I'm pretty well.
Okay. And all of our correspondents are here with us to give us a rousing show, looking back on 2013 and the best and worst of all of geekdom. We have a very big show tonight. 2013 was a very big year for geekdom. We had a lot of really good stuff come out. Video games, movies, comics. I would actually posit to say that it's been the biggest year so far this century, I would say. Would you guys agree?
Of the century?
Well, considering the century's only 14 years old.
I guess that we'll take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God! Next year the century's gonna be able to get a learner's permit.
No. No. What if the century goes through its bratty teenage phase? No, it's gonna listen to Justin Bieber and tell its mom that it doesn't understand it.
Well, now see, the last time this happened, we got the Great Depression, so that kind of scares me.
Yeah, let's not tempt fate, Brendan. Okay, but we have a lot of awards to give out, so we're going to get started, starting with Projectionist John with our movie awards.
Well, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. The movie Golden Bacon Awards may seem a little odd this year. 2013 was not a good year for your old projectionist, and I didn't get to see nearly as many flicks as I'd have liked. So my list of nominees is fairly slim. I even missed out on a few of the bigger releases, including several that I badly wanted to see. But the show must go on, as they say, so here are the awards I'm giving out to the movies which I did see in 2013. Oh, and as a note, I'm counting as a movie anything which got at least a limited theatrical release, even if it was originally made for TV. This will be important later on. Best Sequel: The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. In a year full of sequels, from Star Trek to Thor to Iron Man, there were a lot of contenders for this slot. But it had to go to The Hobbit, and not just because of Benedict Cumberbatch. The second installment of Peter Jackson's newest trilogy is just flat out better than the previous outing. The pacing is tighter, the tone less uneven, and even the foreboding foreshadowing of the Lord of the Rings trilogy feels more natural this time around. It's not free from its issues, from the awkward love triangle subplot to some truly silly moments. The citizens of Lake Town are really sound sleepers, that's all I'm saying. But, on the whole, the second Hobbit definitely stands taller than the first. Biggest nerdgasm: Doctor Who, The Day of the Doctor. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, despite all the geeky movies I have seen in my life, I don't believe I have ever felt such a concentrated atmosphere of nerdery in one theater in my entire life. There was a lot of build-up to the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, and while I don't think that the special was the perfect tribute to the Doctor, it came pretty damn close. I don't believe there was anything this past year which I looked forward to with such anticipation, nor do I think I've ever seen so many bow ties and plastic sonic screwdrivers in one place. Even the 3D didn't feel entirely superfluous, and all of you know my feelings on that particular subject. So even though it was technically a television event first and foremost, I'm going to give The Day of the Doctor my award for the nerdiest movie moment of 2013. Best Visuals: Thor: The Dark World. When the original Thor came out all the way back in the distant year of 2011, I recall that we here at Nerd to the Third Power had one universal complaint. The movie spent far too much time in New Mexico and very little time in Asgard. And we all agreed that if there were one thing that its future sequels could improve on, it would be giving us more of the Realm of the Gods. Well, it seems that Marvel Studios must have been listening to us, and why wouldn't they? Because we definitely got plenty of Asgard in Thor: The Dark World, and it still looks every bit as gorgeous as ever. And hey, what's the point of having something beautiful in a movie if you're not going to completely trash it while you're at it? With Christopher Eccleston, okay, I apologize, I'll stop doing that, and his minions loose in all of their sword shippy things, blasting the living hell out of Odin's throne room and anything that looked at them funny, the invasion of Asgard was a VFX spectacular. Best story, Iron Man 3. Much as I enjoy them still, I have to confess, when it comes to superhero movies, there's not often much in the way of genuine surprises or plot twists. We all pretty much know the story beats, and with few exceptions, most of these flicks don't deviate very far from them. So when Iron Man 3's gigantic plot twist showed up, I was actually taken aback. In fact, at first, I didn't even like it. They took a major character in the Marvel Universe and completely altered everything about them in the most unexpected way they possibly could. But after taking time to reflect on it, I have to say that this gutsy move was completely justified. Not only did it help sidestep around some of the more problematic aspects of Iron Man comic book history, but it also allowed the story to give some surprisingly insightful commentary into our obsession with terrorist figures over the last decade. Plus, it was ballsy as hell, easily the bravest thing Marvel has done since Nick Fury first showed up after the credits of the original Iron Man. So, good one, Marvel, you totally got me. Best Animated Feature, The Croods. My first love in the film industry is animation, but when it comes to animated movies these days, there are a lot of them which I tend to skip. The overabundance of chaos over character development and the often wince-inducingly forced heartfelt moments tend to make me skeptical of a lot of family films the moment the trailers arrive. The Croods was no exception to this, so when I decided almost arbitrarily to go give this one a shot, I didn't have particularly high expectations. And I wound up being blown away. The vision of prehistoric Earth which creator Chris Sanders, and incidentally, had I known that this was a Chris Sanders film going in, I would not have had such low expectations, is filled with lush, gorgeous, and completely unique visuals and creatures that paint a more imaginative picture of the dawn of humanity than any other caveman movie that I think I've ever seen. And while the story isn't exactly groundbreaking, it still had more genuine heart to it than a lot of other animated features I've seen over the past few years. And that's always worth recognizing. Biggest disappointment? Man of Steel. Of course, with every high there must come a few lows, and not every movie of 2013 could deliver on its promise. I gave a lot of thought to this one, guys, and while my opinion may be somewhat controversial, I have to give the biggest disappointment of 2013 award to Man of Steel. I don't hate this movie, not at all, and I believe in our podcast about the subject I even called it, half of a good Superman movie. But its mistakes are entirely too glaring to overlook. From the orgy of wanton destruction, to the washed-out color scheme, to the violation of Superman's own moral principles at the film's climax, this is a Superman movie almost entirely devoid of the hope, joy, and optimism that define the character. And unfortunately, it looks like this is the film which will be setting the tone for the entire DC Cinematic Universe from here on out. Movie of the Year: The Conjuring. It's no secret to anyone here that I like horror movies. Unfortunately, there were not a lot of true standouts in my preferred genre in 2013. From the overly CG'd Mama to the unnecessarily sadistic yet weirdly enjoyable Evil Dead remake, there wasn't a whole lot last year to really catch my eye and yank it from its socket. And then along came The Conjuring, and I fell in love. Based on an allegedly true story of haunting and possession, The Conjuring is a throwback in a lot of ways to classic 70s chillers, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's understated, subtle, almost unbearably tense, and most importantly, scary. Restraint is not a word which I normally associate with James Wan, the director best known for Saw and Insidious, but if The Conjuring is any indication, he might finally be figuring out the proper balance between when to pull his punches and when to let them fly. So, although this may seem an odd choice for the Golden Bacon Awards, I will unabashedly and unashamedly give my Movie of the Year award to The Conjuring, my favorite film of 2013.
In addition to all of the great creative works that have come out in 2013, we also feel that it is appropriate to honor moments when someone in geek culture goes above and beyond the call of duty to deliver either particularly memorable performance or performing an exceptionally awesome geeky deed or just the general moment of awesome. So here to present this year's Golden Bacon Award for Moment of Awesome is Skyblaze.
Thank you, Gonzo. Well, it's that time of year again, when we contemplate the awesome that has been in the previous year. If you were hiding under a rock for the entirety of October and November, you may have missed that it was a fairly significant milestone for a certain geeky British franchise starring a madman in a blue box. 50 years since that madman and his box first appeared on the British screen in 1963, and the BBC really pulled out all the stops when it came to celebrating that anniversary milestone. We had 2 minisodes, a absolutely enormous convention in London, a special docudrama about the making of the early episodes of the series, and a big anniversary special itself, which was even shown in cinemas in the UK and some of the rest of Europe. I don't know about anybody else on the team, but I spent most of November watching my social media feeds be filled with key smash and incoherence as the excitement on the fans built to an absolute boiling point. And it was glorious. So, BBC, for a spectacular 50th anniversary, you get this year's Epic Win Golden Bacon Awards.
Alright, yes, the Doctor Who anniversary was definitely a highlight of this year. What are some other moments of awesome that you guys can recall from 2013?
My personal favorite card game, as everybody who listens to the cast knows, Magic the Gathering celebrated its 20th anniversary. Not near as... Sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize... when you said that, I just realized, my god, Magic's 20 years old. I hadn't even realized.
Well, granted, it's not nearly as epic as the Doctor Who anniversary was, because they didn't call that much attention to it, outside of one special product and a couple of small events here and there. There really wasn't all that much pomp and circumstance. I mean, you didn't have all the stops pulled out like the BBC did for Doctor Who. They're planning to rectify that for Magic's 25th anniversary, but, that's 4 years off. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, they better do something like... They better, freaking reprint Black Lotus for the 25th anniversary or something like that.
There's
That's all
a
I'm
problem...
saying.
Sorry. I mean, as hilarious as that would be, there's a problem with reprinting Black Lotus, and it's called the Reserved List, which, we won't go into here.
Okay. Kat, what about you? What's the moment of awesome that you can recall from 2013?
Well, I can't really think of anything, like anime related, because that's going to come this year in 2014, which we'll probably end up talking about later with most anticipated things of the year. But I would actually say one of the biggest deals out of 2013 was actually the release of Pacific Rim, and I'll tell you why. Because this is giving those of us who are big anime fans, who are big tokusatsu fans, people who like giant mecha and giant monsters, it harkens back to the Godzilla age. It brings something like those classic Godzilla movies, and it brings it forward, modernizes it, makes it look totally amazing, and it makes it really, really popular. And it brings all of us little nerds out of the woodworks and go, this is for us! They made this for us! Not for you people, it's for us!
Okay.
Oh God, yes. Now see, there we go. That's a moment I'd completely forgotten. And shame on me, because I keep saying that's my new favorite movie ever. I'm shocked. I'm disappointed in myself that I forgot to mention
Shocked and appalled.
Yes, I know, right? It's the Pain Glove with me.
Okay. Brian, what about you? Moment of awesome.
Well, I think one of the bigger moments of awesome is, and I'll go a little bit into it when my awards come up, but I kind of consider 2013 the year the independent comics rebelled. And I mean that in a good way. I mean, for a long period of time, a lot of the comic sales and market has been just going up year and month to month. And the independents decided this is the perfect time to capitalize on this just immense growth we haven't seen since about the, maybe I say early 80s or late 70s. And Image especially has been pushing for just new creator-owned content left and right. IDW has been really gathering together a lot of great licenses for their own lines and everything like that. So it got so good is that the independents are starting to finally sort of break through the mold and get more of a spotlight than the big two. So I think that's one of the big moments, there's several of them, of awesome that happened in 2013.
Okay. John, what about you?
Well, I am the movie guy, and this might technically be cheating since it was made for TV, but there was a major event that did get a theatrical release in 2013, and I am, of course, talking about Equestria Girls. No, I'm talking about Doctor Who.
So your moment of awesome is just parrot what's officially been awarded then.
Well, no, I mean it's officially been awarded by Skyblaze, and I also gave it an award in my Golden Bacon. But honestly, it's because it was that good. It was the single thing I was the most excited about the entire year, and the torture was even worse because since I had tickets to see it in the theater, I was determined I was not going to watch it until I could see it in the theater, even though it had already aired. I basically completely isolated myself from the internet for the entire 2 or 3 days between its air date and when it was shown in the theater, because I was like, I'm going to see spoilers. There are going to be spoilers all over everything I see for this. I am not going to touch anything until then. And it was fantastic. It was worth every single moment of the wait. So this may be a broken record here, but yeah, I've got to say that was my biggest movie-related thing, my biggest bit of excitement for the whole year. Just keeping it real.
Okay.
Yo.
Well, my moment of awesome, I'm gonna say is the performance of this year's Child's Play charity, which for those who don't know, Child's Play it's basically the gamers charity. It's run by the guys who do Penny Arcade, Gabe and Tycho. They accept donations of video games or money for children's hospitals to put games and books and toys, get them into the hands of children who are stuck in the hospitals and with can't leave, can't go home. They have chronic, in some cases life-threatening diseases that force them to stay on bed rest. And this year was the biggest Child's Play take yet, with well over, I think the figure was like $7 million. Which is, I think, amazing. And anytime someone says something along the lines of like, geeks are worthless, there's nothing that nerds contribute to the world, I just look at that and I go, yeah, all those people don't know shit about what they're talking about. So yes, BBC gets this year's official Golden Bacon Moment of Awesome Award for the Doctor Who 50th anniversary. So yeah, and here's to many more to come. But along with many fine films, another pillar of geekdom is comic books. And so now we're going to turn the floor over to Multiverse Brian for this year's Comic Book Golden Bacon Awards.
Ah, yes. It's the Golden Bacon Comics Award. Yes, it's that time of the year I take a look at the comics that have come throughout this whole year. From who I thought had the best series, who was the best writer, artist, and of course, my publisher of the year. But let's first take a look at an award that's showcased here for the very first time. I like to call it's the Oi, What a Year award. This is more of an award that showcases a person, publisher, character that didn't, have the best sort of year. And if anyone's been following the news, you can probably guess where I'm going with this. For the first winner of Hoi, What a Year, it goes to DC Comics, and this might not actually come to a shock of a lot of people. 2013 was a bad time to be in the PR department of DC Comics, and it seems no matter what, something bad happened. To list off all of the items would most likely take up my entire time here, and to do so, and besides there's other websites, a bit more childish than mine, that has set up this type of thing. So, be my guest, head over, take a look at them all, and you can rank which was considered the worst of them all if you really wanted to. In short, creators have left, and the fans are very upset. It's a wonder why a comic is even actually being produced by the company. Now here's actually the more shocking thing. Even despite all of this controversy, every so often a good comic does seem to slip out. I don't know what that exactly means, but there it is. So you have to wonder, will this trend continue into 2014? And another thing you have to wonder, will it actually go through 2014 to 2015? You have to remember the DC Comics is actually moving to the West Coast, and not all of their editorial staff will join them. It's a big question mark right there. Anyway, here you go. DC, the first winner of the Oi, What a Year award. So, after that, I like to start off with the proper awards. And in this section, I think it's both to start out with something that's both appreciated and a bit overlooked at the same time. Art in comics is essential to not only to look, quote, pretty or good, but it helps with the storytelling. In fact, art is something that should be promoted right next to the story of any book. For a reviewer as myself, I often struggle to make connections, or I don't do enough to showcase the talent on the books. So hopefully here, I can correct that with these three artists. First up is my second runner-up, and it's David Aja from Hawkeye, who each issue has put a steady enjoyment no matter the world that he builds for Hawkeye and his friends and the story that develops around it. This is a good example of having the story be told to you through art, not necessarily through dialogue at times. And it does seem to help that the art does sync up with Fraction's very unique writing. My first runner-up goes to a no stranger to this list, and that's Greg Capullo and his work on Batman. I know, I'm probably just completely beating a dead horse at the moment, but Capullo has spent the last few years on the Batman book that is making him the best Batman artist in, well, honestly, years. It's almost hard to figure out and guess which has been the best Batman artist. His dedication shows up in the smallest of details on each and every panel. And be it page 2 spread or a simple moment of Bruce talking, it's going to be a real sad day when he finally leaves the book because he's done some amazing work for it so far. Now that probably means, Brian, who's the winner? Greg Capullo was your winner last year. Who could do so much work to beat him out? Well, the winner here goes to Fiona Staples and her fantastic work on Saga. While Saga might have had a bit of a bumpy start to any book with issues dealing with orders on Volume 1 of the trade paperback, and also the kind of, sort of, but not really getting banned from the Apple storefront debacle, that has no way slowed Fiona down in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it might have been a challenge. You see, Fiona is doing work on this book 3 times over. That's right, she's penciling, inking, and coloring, and all of her is doing this, and the quality of the work has never suffered issue upon issue. It's just not even a normal book. This is a sci-fi fantasy epic that she's turned up to 11 with her artwork. She knocks it out of the park, and that is why she is the Golden Bacon Award for the Best Artist of 2013. The second category I face is Best New Series. Every year there is a slew of new series that come out just about from everyone, and it's very daunting to look through them all and figure out which is really the best of the bunch. I'm going to admit there's a couple on here and I'm kind of regretting not getting there, but this is definitely the best 3, so I apologize if I missed anything. The second runner-up is a strange fellow. It's Afterlife with Archie. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. When I first heard about this, it sounded, well, kind of dumb. But lo and behold, this thing's really fun to read. Who knew that mixing the zombie genre with the constantly in high school world of Archie would lead to something kind of wonderful in its own way? Now, this is not for everyone, sure, and I really don't know where the expiration date of this idea is either. But at the same time, look how long Walking Dead's been going, so who knows? First runner-up is Rat Queens. This book can best be described as veterans of D&D coming together for a game and then just tossing out the rule book. There's a lot of violence, a lot of cursing, and most of all, a lot of fun. It's one of those few books that I would force to hide my laughter while reading it in public. There was only actually one other book that did that for me in this category, and it's actually our winner. Yes, the winner of the Golden Bacon for Best New Series goes to Valiant's Quantum and Woody. It's funny to call these two the world's worst super team, and somehow that's a term of endearment for them. But it's true, the Valiant duo returned to the pages of the books this year, and with it, into our hearts. And there is also a goat. People who read the book will know why that's funny. It's true my love for superheroes also pushed this book slightly ahead of the other ones in this category, but honestly, it's always good to see old friends return with new energy behind them. So congratulations to Valiant and team Quantum and Woody, the winner of the Golden Comics Best New Series. Moving on now, we turn to the best miniseries of the year. One could also call this the best event category if they really wanted to, but I need to remind everyone this section's a little bit different and has different rules. The only series that are actually up for eligibility here, the ones that were actually finished in 2013. Anything going on right now, say like Forever Evil or Inhumanity, that's not up for the reward yet, as they're not done, and it wouldn't be really fair because you have to judge it on the whole story, not just part 6. Also, there's another thing, that this is for miniseries, actual sort of comics outside comics. That means no long arching crossover story arcs, say like Throne of Atlantis. Again, that was actually taking place in the books themselves, not on the outside. So, hopefully that will clear up the explanations on their way, and we can start moving into the category itself. The second runner-up of this goes to Marvel's Infinity. See, Infinity is what Age of Ultron tried to be. With a epic intergalactic stakes, there was more to sort of lift the book that were featured in this and introduce new ones on the side. The only real complaint I have is that while I placed this, a little bit low in terms of a second runner-up spot, is because while Hickman's writing was fantastic and the story and the artwork all were equally on par with it, it was also very long, and you sort of had the force to read all of the different books to get the knowledge of the story here. Ironically, though, they also made it sort of the fastest event in history as well. Now, my first runner-up is an actual miniseries, and it's one I'm actually giving to an origin comic. I don't usually give out origin comic stories. It's also to a licensed comic, another thing I don't give out a lot too. But the first runner-up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Secret History of the Foot Clan. The Turtles have, fallen out of favor with me in recent years, and actually in most of the mediums. So it was really no fault of my own that I eventually missed its first go-around. I picked it up later. But to pick up IDW's take is actually really well put together. It's one of the best known enemies the Turtles have really had, so I got curious. Here, the book works because it's using something familiar to also introduce a little bit new as well. A tale of a younger Shredder and Splinter work to enhance the main series and not distracting from it. A hard task that we've seen not do so well many times already. What also works out extremely importantly here, this is a gateway to their ongoing series they currently have. Probably something they wanted to finish off as well. So congratulations all around for that. But of course, that's only my first runner-up. Here we have the winner. Yes, the winner of this year's Golden Bacon Award goes to Valiant's Harbinger Wars. I know, another Valiant book. But Remember what I said about events that do a great job of expanding their titles, or in this case, the whole line? Valiant's Harbinger Wars did just that. Their first major crossover event, so it was definitely had a lot of magnifying glasses on it, and it was laid out and played out perfectly. What set this one a little bit over the others going on is that not only does it have a standalone-ness to it, there was only one book, while the shocks at the end hit the other books and the other lines, and no one really needed a star map to follow which tie-ins to go along the way. Valiant has been building on their world for a while, but it never felt connected. This helps solidify that this is in fact a shared universe, which only means it's going to get bigger from here on out. So congratulations, Harbinger Wars, the Golden Bacon for Best Miniseries of the Year. Now, that's all for the miniseries as we move on to our next category, the Best Ongoing Series, and you actually might be a tad surprised by this set. The second runner-up is Swamp Thing. Now, I haven't talked about Swamp Thing much. Well, actually, I don't think I've ever talked about Swamp Thing, but there's sort of a reason. His book started out very slow and then got a little bit slower during Rot World. But after Rot World, a new writer in Charles Soule took over the book. Remember that name, it's going to be popping up again. And he's taken the book back to its roots of the character, adding a little bit of dark humor ever so often where possible, but it's definitely a more Swamp Thing feeling book to it. It's interesting, not really superheroes, but also not really horror. It balances that fine line between the two of them, making it a much more interesting book than it was really before. So congratulations on the new scribe for that, a fresh book under a new writer. Now, first runner-up goes to IDW's Ghostbusters. Yes, you can believe it. Not just one licensed comic on these lists, now two. I'm breaking new ground here. But let me explain. The Ghostbusters Ongoing might be IDW's best kept secret. It's smart, funny, it respects the source while adding in new elements with the same tone to it. I can often hear the live action actors, or sometimes the animated ones, as I read the story. Or I can also hear the Ghostbusters score from the movie when going from different scenes. It makes me wish for more Ghostbusters, be it movies, animated, video games, or whatever, but at the same time, if this is all I'm going to get, then that's fine. I will take this comic and enjoy the hell out of it. Of course, that just leaves the winner. And the winner for Best Ongoing Series this year goes to, and I'm probably going to get some hate mail from this, but to be honest, Aquaman. I know. I am just as shocked as you are, but in my readings, Aquaman had a very good year in 2013. The Throne of Atlantis storyline was one of the better storylines from the whole year, really bringing the character back up. And he was followed up with the different storylines of the trials as he was as a king, fighting for his kingdom, fighting for his queen, just trying to bring Atlantis back together after the onslaught and failed invasion under his brother, earning their trust while keeping both sea life and the surface safe. It's funny because this book, while showing off a more mature Aquaman, it doesn't mean we forget his more comical past. In fact, I think the help of this book, we've sort of accepted his past. Yeah, he was comical. Yeah, he talks to fish, but that's okay. Look where he is now, and we can still move forward with him. And in the end, that's really what made this one of the better books, and why I gave Aquaman the Golden Bacon for Best Ongoing Series. Congratulations, King of the Sea. Don't screw it up in 2014. We may never get another shot at this. Alright, so we're going to move on now to our second to last category for the really big one. And here it is the Best Writer of 2013, Best Writer of the whole year. And there's some high-end candidates as well. It was actually extremely hard to sort of figure them all out and just pick, two runners-up and a winner. It took me a long time and a lot of books to try to figure this out. I hope everyone here sort of enjoys them. And a lot of the winners have something in common. It's not so much that they wrote well, they wrote a lot of stuff. And they wrote a lot of it well. Case in point, my second runner-up goes to Jonathan Hickman for his work on the Avenger titles. The ones he writes, which is really most of them right now. And while writing them, he's able to weave stories that go all through them and then sort of connect into one storyline altogether when you had the Infinity comic come out. And he's not just taking Marvel's flagship, he's building a fleet of Marvel flagships with these books. Now, if there is one downside and why I only put him at second runner-up, it is because, like I mentioned before, he writes very well, but he writes very expanded, and I don't quite like being forced to read all different books to get one story out of it. A lot of times, though, they are very good with Jonathan Hickman, so you don't feel ripped off, but it does take its toll on you as a reader and on your wallet. Of course, this moves on to the first runners-up spot, which no doubt will make people send even more hate mail, but I'm giving it to Dan Slott. Before I continue, I like to go into my bunker real quick. Okay, as much as I do not like the idea behind Superior Spider-Man, to say that the writing was bad by Dan Slott in any way, shape, or form would be outright lying. And I'll try to keep that to a minimum. It's hard to argue under Slott's Spider-Man, be it with Doc inside of him or Peter, has not only increased in both readership, it's also increased interest in the character that we haven't seen probably since the first trilogy of Spider-Man movies that came out. You can debate the process all you want, but the results speak for themselves. More than anything Dan could say about the book. And like I mentioned, they're well written. They're actually great written. You may not like the story, but everything follows exactly how he planted it out. You can't call it bad storytelling if it's not bad storytelling. If you just don't like the story, that's a whole other issue to itself. Now, Peter Parker is coming back just in time for the new movie, hint hint. So one can easily see after all of this Dan Slott was going to be on this title for a long time to come. But he's not the winner. He's only the first runner-up. The winner for this year's Golden Bacon of the best comic book goes to Charles Soule. Remember I mentioned him earlier? Yes, well, Charles Soule came into the comic book scene and stole the spotlight from everyone else because he decided he's going to write up to 7 different ongoing titles at the same time. Here's the funny part. They're all different. His Red Lanterns is different from his Thunderbolts, which is different from Superman and Wonder Woman, which is different from his She-Hulk, which is different from his Swamp Thing, and the list goes on and on and on. Honestly, even if, say, these books were subpar, which they're not, they're all very good. Well, I'm assuming She-Hulk's going to be very good, but it's not quite out yet. But, you know, he has a good track record going for him so far. And with that, even if they were just subpar, I would give him this award on just the strength and willpower to say, yeah, I'm going to write 7 different books all at the same time. I can do that. And for different companies as well. Look, I bow to you, Charles Soule, the Golden Bacon winner of Best Writer of 2013. Congratulations, you've earned it. But after all of that, after all of the discussions that no doubt will take place because of my picks and choices, we move on to my best in show. My publisher of the year. Yes, and this year, well, it wasn't too difficult to get who was the best publisher going on. And it's not just who had the best books or who had the most books. it all came down to both sort of, for me, quality and how things were treated by the publisher. So, my second runner-up goes to IDW, who in the past year has been building something no other publisher seems to be doing, and that's their all-age line, which is now the most powerful in the market, a title that was once held by Boom. So IDW has done something different. They've gone out and get Cartoon Network staples, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, and Samurai Jack, just to name a few, and added them to their stable. So we have that. With the addition of My Little Pony books, you have this huge, large, formidable area for young and some old readers alike to all of enjoy. And of course, they're expanding on their other licensed properties like Transformers and G.I. Joe. They unfortunately are going to be losing their Doctor Who, but they've gained so much in the past year, I think they can handle one loss. Of course, that's just my second runner-up. The first runner-up was actually last year's winner of Best Publisher of the Year, Valiant Comics. Now, I was hoping Valiant might pull a double win this year, and they were close to doing it. They added in the new titles like Unity and Quantum and Woody, and they kept the quality of the titles they had on their shelves to the very high end. They could match some of the big publisher titles shot for shot. But they've also sort of slowed down a bit. And while they've added the two titles, other titles that were promised haven't sort of arrived yet. And that makes me a little bit worried. Also, they seem to be distracted by things that don't even deal with comics. Like their 8-bit shooters for iPads and iPhones. I mean, yes, they sponsored the Luge team. That's cool. They all look like Exo-Men of War. But, why? That's just sort of my feeling on it. So it kind of dropped them down a little bit. They've sort of slowed. But hopefully things will pick up for them soon. Oh, yeah, and you know, I'm still waiting on that new Jack series, Valiant. I mean, if you need a writer, I'm still here. I'm waiting by the phone right there, the call. And it's gonna go off now. Oh. Well, anyway, I'm still here if you need me. But all of that leads me to the winner, the Best Publisher of the Year. And this year, it goes to Image Comics. Image set out this year, they were going to try to prove what they wanted to do probably 20 some odd years ago. To be the publisher that pushed for different and unique creator-owned books from the best in the industry. And they did just that. Their hard work over the year has pushed them into the high, reaching for the first time in over a decade, a third party getting at least 10% share of the market. Something that's so rare, I'm not even sure that's going to happen anytime soon. But with the way they're powering forward, it could very well be happening again, and very soon. And not once did they back down from what they wanted to do. All the criticism thrown at Image was very old criticisms. Very old criticisms when they first started. They have changed their company twofold. They are a brand new company, it feels like. They're pushing the boundaries of independent work like no other. Not since the early days of Vertigo have we seen such a push. So, don't be so shocked that maybe sometime in 2014 I have a headline that this now is a 3-company race, with Image coming up, taking away market share from both DC and Marvel. It could very well happen. So congratulations, Image. You are my Best Publisher of the Year.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And as with heads, there must come the tails. With the cream, there must come the cheese. And with the moments of the dizzying highs, there must also be the mind-bending, heart-breaking lows. And so here to present the Brown Turd Award for Moment of Fail is Skyblaze. Skyblaze, share the shame.
Thanks, Gonzo. Well, as everyone knows, for every win, there must be a fail. Since the Win Award went to a corporation this year, it seems only fair and right that the shame of the epic fail should befall another corporation. Now, despite many competitors in this arena, Microsoft! Sorry, terrible cough I have there. Electronic Arts, the games company everyone loves to hate. They have done many things worthy of contempt in their time, but in 2013 they really showed their outright contempt for their paying customers with the SimCity debacle. For those who are not aware of this, to put it briefly, EA released a new edition of the wildly popular SimCity franchise, which has a long and illustrious history, promising online play. But only online play. No single-player offline mode for you. EA claimed this was because a lot of complex calculations had to be done server-side, which was very quickly proved to be an out-and-out lie by fans and hackers. So, after being caught with their pants blatantly on fire, EA promptly doubled down on their claims and refused to budge. And watch fan outrage over constantly busy servers and lack of offline play grew to critical mass until finally, after months of stonewalling, EA announced some limited offline play. Now, the thing that really tips this over the line and puts the sting in the tail, to add insult to injury as it were, EA then announced it would be enabling tools for modders, and then issued such strict guidelines on their use that it was pretty much the only any good for reskins of buildings and other blatant cosmetic changes. So, not really much use as a modding tool at all, then. So, for their massive douchebaggery and contempt for their customers, this year's epic fail Golden Bacon, or Brown Turd if you prefer, award goes to EA.
Yeah, definitely dropping the ball there, EA. So, what are some other moments of fail that have passed in the last year?
Well, I think for me, everyone has to kind of go back to what my first award was in my segment there, was, ahoy, what a year for DC Comics, because apparently their PR department just doesn't know how to work anymore. You had so many missteps, I could list all of them. It would probably take several hours, so if you forget, just go over to my Hoy, what a year award again.
My personal favourite for DC this year was the thing with Harley Quinn and the drawing contest.
Mm-hmm. That is a lot of people's point that out. Yeah.
Not only insensitive to women in general, also insensitive to people with mental health issues. Thanks a lot, EA. DC, rather.
Funny, that Freudian slip.
Edit!
No,
Hate all the things.
Okay, well, for me, the big moment of fail, I know that they might have pulled it, well, maybe not a 180, but maybe like a 150 degree turn since then. But Microsoft's E3 showing this year, I mean, there's dropping the ball and then they're spiking it right into your competitors' hands, which is essentially what Microsoft did at this year's E3. You know, it was just such a complete and utter abject failure that I'm frankly amazed at the recovery that they've pulled since then. But it's always funny when I go back and I listen to the PR that follows afterwards, and they're saying, "Oh, we've listened to feedback from our fans." You realize that what they're really saying is, "Please stop sending us death threats tattooed on the backs of dead rats."
Yep.
It was just so baffling because they had it in the bag.
Well,
and they just kind of went, fuck it.
So yeah, Microsoft's E3 showing is my moment of fail. Brendan, what about you?
I'm kind of with you on this, with maybe second or third place being, also the Magic 20th anniversary that never really transpired. I mean, just, small stuff. They should have done more, but that's not nearly as much of an epic fail as Microsoft's showing at E3 and the subsequent smacking in the mouth by the PlayStation 4 and Sony at their E3 showing.
Yeah, the how to share games video, that was Sony's smoking gun. Point
Yep.
Period, end of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Kat, what about you? What's your moment of fail?
I don't really have too many. I can't really think of anything in particular. that was like a huge fail on the part of the industry. I will say, and I kind of hesitate to do this because I'll probably be roasted alive for saying this, but for me, one of the biggest moments of failure of the anime fandom was there was a huge outcry, probably sometime around the fall, where people were starting to get pissed off about there being so many Attack on Titan cosplays. And every year, every time there's a big show that gets really popular really fast, there's always an explosion of cosplay. And there's always people who don't like the show for one reason or another and don't like the cosplay, like they don't like that there's so many people cosplaying it. And I've seen so many things attacking the Attack on Titan cosplayers because, calling them stupid or calling them just all sorts of really terrible things because they're cosplaying something that's popular. They're saying, well, these people have no taste and they all bought their costumes and all this other stuff. And it's one of those moments where it was really incredibly disheartening for a lot of cosplayers who do put a lot of time and effort into their costume to see other people just completely rip any given cosplayer to shreds because they don't like that costume or they don't like that show. And to call these people like worthless or, stupid, it's just so disheartening because that's not what the cosplay community should be about. And to have it about something that actually, a lot of people think it's a good show. Okay, that's great. If you don't like it, who cares? Why do you care that this person is in this costume? I actually heard people saying that Attack on Titan was the death of the cosplay community, period, hands down. It was the worst thing that had ever happened to cosplay. And it's just not. And it's so shameful to have that sort of malicious spirit because that's not what the cosplay community is about. And it's what tears the whole fandom apart is that whole, need to feel superior by ripping other people down. If you don't like the costume, who cares? It's none of your business what other people wear. So that was like my big fail because nothing probably made me madder in terms of anime that, whole of last year.
I actually got a funny story that goes along with that. This last Otakon, I was actually in Baltimore around the convention center doing some unrelated business. I stopped into a corner side bistro near the convention center, and there was a con attendee there getting lunch, and I struck up a conversation with him. And he went on for about 10 minutes while I was standing in line waiting for my food to be made, going on about how much he hated Attack on Titan cosplay and how it was everywhere. And, how he was sick of seeing it, how it was pretty much the end of anime as far as he was concerned. And I want you to bear in mind that as he's saying this, he's standing there in a sky blue footy pajamas, a rainbow wig, and styrofoam wings duct taped to his back. So he finally pauses in his rant, and he asks me what my thoughts are, and I just look him in the eye and say, "Judge not, lest ye be judged."
Seriously.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Fandom is not a competition. You are not going to win an award for liking things better than someone else likes them. Also, can I just say how funny the phrase Attack on Titan is?
I'm sorry, I realized it as soon as I was saying it. I'm like, oh, that was bad.
No, I like it. I like it.
Edit.
No, don't edit it. That's perfect.
No, please don't.
Okay. All right. Well, John, what's your moment of fail?
Well, this isn't something that so much has happened yet, but it was announced in the past year, so I'm gonna count it anyway. A sequel to It's a Wonderful Life has been announced. And, it's a cliche these days to say that Hollywood is creatively bankrupt, to say there are too many sequels and remakes and prequels and premakes and shake and bakes and I don't know, but it's a cliche. It's been done to death, but and it's not a new trend in the industry, as the 70-odd different versions of Dracula that I have on my DVD shelf will attest. But it's. I feel like there should be a certain limit, and for some reason this was the one that really bothers me. I think I would be less bothered if it was a remake of It's a Wonderful Life, but a sequel, like more than half a century, considerably more than a half a century after the original came out, something that's on TV every single Christmas, that is such an extraordinarily well-known and beloved movie, and you're gonna do a sequel this long after the fact. I don't know. That to me feels like rock bottom.
Well, there
Absolute
is
rock
a
bottom.
small sliver of hope here, because after I heard that announcement as well, I was sort of researching, because I get bored very easily, and it sounds like that it may not actually happen because there is some sort of licensing or rights issues going on. Why they announced it, I don't know, but it seems to be more along the lines of, yeah, we're going to make it. We're going to do what? Oh, crap, we can't.
Okay.
Like how when Universal attempted to sue Nintendo over Donkey Kong being a copyright infringement of King Kong, and then found out that they didn't have the rights to King Kong anymore.
Sort of like that.
Or never did.
So there is that.
Well, there's more to that story, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll put the train back on the tracks. Okay, but Electronic Arts wins this year's Brown Turd Award for Epic Fail. And so with that, we now turn our gaze back to other higher accomplishments. So we turn the floor to Brendan for this year's Tabletop Awards.
So apparently there's an awards show today. Shocker, I know. Anyway, I'm here to distribute awards to the most deserving tabletop gaming offerings of calendar year 2013. There's a lot of really neat stuff to talk about here, so while I will try not to talk off anyone's ear or spend too much time on any one particular thing, I can of course make no promises. That being said, let's go ahead and get started with the best core trading card game release of 2013. A core release for trading card games, for the purposes of our rewards, is a base set, one containing the necessary elements to play the game and geared at providing a solid foundation from which to build your decks. We begin at third place with one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG's most recent releases, Shadow Specters. This 100-card set does a lot of things right, offering a wide-ranging slate of support for archetypes new and old. While heavily focused on monsters like the cutesy scary Ghostricks and some decidedly creepier vampires, the set space devoted to other monster types like Archfiends and the Noble Knights is an encouraging step away from where the game had been a scant few years ago. I'm not going to turn this into any sort of back-in-my-day elitist nerd rant, but please do at least permit me to say that I am very glad to see Yu-Gi-Oh! Once again supporting more than just a handful of deck types with its regular card releases. Of course, I may have spoken too soon on that nerd rant thing, because the second place entrant for Best Core Trading Card Game release inspired plenty of them, and not just from me. While the face of Magic the Gathering's Magic 2014 core set was Planeswalker Chandra Nalaar, and her newest cardstock incarnation, the most buzz was in fact generated by the return of the Sliver creature type. Both loved and hated by many a Magic player, Slivers would have been a controversial inclusion to this set even had they not been redesigned for the occasion. But both rules text changes and aesthetic alterations ensured that there was furor from both quarters. Magic 2014 did eventually redeem itself somewhat with powerful reprints like Mutavault and Scavenging Ooze, as well as new cards like the aforementioned Chandra and fellow Planeswalker, Garruk the Caller of Beasts. But the bad taste Slivers left in players' mouths holds this set back from the bacon. What won then? The Golden Bacon for 2013's Best Core Trading Card Game release goes to Yu-Gi-Oh's Judgment of the Light, which took a slightly similar tack to Magic 2014 but came away with an arguably better result. Rather than resurrecting an old monster type, Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead brought back a card type that hadn't been seen in years, Synchro Monsters. A slate of new synchros and tuners to summon them, ranging from the tricky Mistbird Clausolus to the enormous Star Eater, brought a new angle to many different existing strategies. Judgment of the Light also brought more fuel to the fire for the Fire Fist and Prophecy monsters, as well as launched the Bujin archetype. But the standout here is definitely the Synchros, which carried their set to a Golden Bacon win. Congrats! Next up is the Golden Bacon Award for Best Expansion Trading Card Game Release of 2013. Expansion sets are different from core sets in that they tend to target more experienced players with a smaller card group of more mechanically complex cards and strategies. This category opens with more Yu-Gi-Oh! As the Number Hunters expansion takes 3rd place. The 60-card all-foil Number Hunters marks a stark counterpoint to the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Products mentioned so far, as it focuses much more tightly on only one card type. Specifically, Number Hunters is geared towards providing anyone who opens a pack with new Xyz monsters and cards to support them. There are some other archetypes thrown in, but by and large it's black-framed cards galore here. The abundance of shiny foil makes boosters a tempting treat, but the relatively smaller set size means that there isn't a whole lot more to be seen here. In 2nd place for Best Expansion TCG release is Magic the Gathering's Theros expansion. Theros is set in a world based on Greco-Roman mythology, and the gods of Theros make sure you never forget that. The power level of these top-tier enchantment creatures that represent the gods is such that they have inspired whole new deck types to better exploit their abilities. The set shines brightest when showing off the workings of this new world that are most directly inspired by myth, though, and that shows pretty clearly when looking at some of the more run-of-the-mill cards, like Anger of the Gods, which doesn't feel all that epic despite clearly invoking the heavens. It is therefore to Magic the Gathering's Dragon's Maze expansion that the Golden Bacon for Best Expansion TCG release is awarded. This capstone to the exciting Return to Ravnica block brought all 10 two-color guilds together in a single set of about 150 cards. Despite the relatively limited room, there was a whole lot of awesome to go around here. There were, inevitably, some disappointments, but the difference here is that for every Emeritandrus, there was a Roric Thar waiting right around the corner. The return of split cards with their new fuse mechanic was very exciting too, and the entry into Paper Magic of fan-favorite planeswalker Ral Zarek made plenty more people than just me grin ear to ear. In the end, though, it was the overall quality of the entire enterprise, from top-dollar mythic Voice of Resurgence, all the way down to commons like Punish the Enemy and Hidden Strings, that made Dragon's Maze my pick for the Golden Bacon. Congrats! Now we come to the Bacon for Best Standalone Trading Card Game release of 2013, which denotes an offering intended to be playable all by itself, with no cards from other expansions required. The best of these, though, will be able to mesh perfectly with other offerings from their main game. Bearing all that in mind, 3rd place for this award for 2013 goes to Magic the Gathering's Commander 2013 structure decks. Each of these special 100-card decks represents an entry point into the Commander format, a version of casual multiplayer Magic that encourages big plays and stories you'll talk about for days afterward. The decks each come with a small suite of brand new cards designed for use in multiplayer settings, although one or two have the potential to work just as well in some constructed formats. That brings us to a problem with Commander 2013. The fact that only one or two of these cards is powerful enough to merit inclusion in decks outside of casual circles caused headaches for people looking to buy the decks that had those cards, as they sold out very quickly everywhere. Still, despite any hiccups, Commander 2013 was a good step forward for Wizards of the Coast, proving that, yes, the makers of Magic really are invested in seeing this format succeed. 2nd place for Best Standalone TCG release is taken by Yu-Gi-Oh's Booster Battle Pack 2, also known as War of the Giants. I really can't say enough good things about this set and its goal, which is to try to introduce the equivalent of Magic's limited format to Yu-Gi-Oh! As opposed to its precursor, the first Booster Battle Pack, known as Epic Dawn, War of the Giants is a deliberate experiment in engineering a set to create a certain style of play in a format where you can only use what you get out of your boosters. There are no cards that outright destroy other monsters. You have to do it through attacking and combat tricks. Because of this, the monsters are free to dedicate a little less space to being resilient and a little more to being ridiculously huge. The Achilles heel of War of the Giants was that it was a set composed entirely of reprints, which made it a fine jumping off point for a new or returning player, but ultimately unappealing to an established player base used to regular installments of brand new cards. That's a shame, because War of the Giants represents a similar commitment to Commander 2013, possibly a more daring one, and attempts to bring a new experience to their player base, one that they might like if they tried it. Of course, that daring is still surpassed easily by the winner of the Golden Bacon for Best Standalone TCG release of 2013, Magic the Gathering's Modern Masters. The last time Wizards of the Coast reprinted this many powerful and valuable cards all at once, the result was Chronicles and the Reserved List, both of which remain loathed by many to this day. This time, though, they did it right. A slew of cards players wanted, reprinted in quantities that kept the collectors happy. Modern Masters was designed to be drafted as part of a limited format tournament, but its contents were also useful and in demand for Wizards' new Eternal format, which is, not at all coincidentally, also known as Modern. That is the key conceptual difference between War of the Giants and Modern Masters. Both were designed to introduce a new format, but War of the Giants has most of its fun on the front end while you're busy opening your packs and playing with the contents. Afterward, there's little else to do besides shuffle those new cards into decks you already have. Modern Masters, on the other hand, has more in mind for your cards after you're done playing with them straight out of the pack, like, say, playing some games in the new format that shares its name. Like the other two winners in this category, Modern Masters is the manifestation of a commitment by the company that made it. What set this one apart is the level to which it succeeded. People already played Commander before Wizards of the Coast made more cards and decks specifically for it, and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player base didn't buy what Konami tried to sell them with War of the Giants, metaphorically or literally. With Modern Masters, though, the result was good all around. Players got new copies of cards they wanted, collectors kept their valuable older copies, and Wizards drove 3 times as many people to store-level Modern events. Everybody won, including Modern Masters, which just won a bacon. Congrats! From there, we moved to the category of pen and paper role-playing games, with the Golden Bacon for Best Core RPG release of 2013. This category recognizes the big, thick books of rules and regulations that determine how each game is played out. Our third place winner is the original Dungeons & Dragons RPG, which... Wait, don't lynch me, this isn't a joke. In November of 2013, Wizards of the Coast released a premium reprint of the Dungeons & Dragons 1.0 rule set. This boxed set contains all 3 original rules booklets, Men and Magic, Monsters and Treasure, and Underworld and Wilderness Adventures, each with new cover art but retaining the same interior art and language as the original release from almost 40 years ago. In addition, the set includes 4 supplementary booklets for enhancing your adventure, and reference sheets to keep track of everything on. All of this comes in a fancy wooden box with some D&D style art decorations of its own. Wizards has been reprinting a good number of its older books in high-quality premium versions as of late, but this set beats the others handily in presentation value alone, and for gamers struck by curiosity or nostalgia alike, that's liable to only be the beginning. Of course, perhaps what you're looking for here is more along the lines of, new content? Well, our second place winner for Best Core RPG release delivers some of that. Paizo Publishing's Pathfinder RPG has emerged as a strong challenger for D&D's crown, and their steady stream of content for the game helps keep things fresh. Specifically, it is the Pathfinder rulebook Mythic Adventures that has secured second place in the running here. Mythic Adventures is geared towards increasing the already impressive suite of options that help players make their characters special. Through the use of 6 different mythic paths, each with their own set of trials, characters can gain awesome new abilities that represent the will of the gods, the whims of fate, or other powerful forces at work. It's not just the heroes either. Mythic Adventures adds new monsters and magic items with mythic abilities to the game too. Naturally, all of this comes with rules baggage, and the book's 256 pages go a long way towards explaining what all of it means. That's a lot of new stuff to play with, but if you're looking for more than even that, look no further than the winner of the 2013 Golden Bacon for Best Core RPG release, D&D's Ghosts of Dragonspear Castle. First off, if you manage to get your hands on a copy of this book, you're already pretty lucky, because it's a limited release with a small print run that was only available at the gaming convention Gen Con. Open it up, though, and you'll find the real gems. Rule sets and guidelines for running an adventure using D&D Next, the newest version of the Dungeons & Dragons core rule set that hasn't even officially been released yet. Now keep in mind, this is not the full rule set, but a preview of it. Unless you're extremely creative, you will likely not be able to build your own original characters or run your own campaign just yet. Ghosts of Dragonspear Castle does, however, provide its own mini-campaign with a set of pre-generated characters and encounters that will take them all the way from 1st to 10th level. There's also monster statistics, magic items, and a bunch of other cool stuff. I'll be honest, it does kinda suck that something cool like this is a limited release item, but this is also the first we've heard of a new D&D in quite some time, and even a small glimpse of awesome stuff on the horizon is worthy of recognition. Ghosts of Dragonspear Castle is way more than a glimpse, and that's why it's the Golden Bacon winner for Best Core RPG release of 2013. Congrats! From there, we'll move to our final regular category, that being Best Expansion RPG release of 2013. An expansion, for our purposes here, will take the form of a product similar to a pre-constructed campaign. It'll help give you a more full game experience, but you still need the core rulebooks to play through. All 3 of our award winners in this category are, as a matter of fact, pre-constructed campaigns this year, and the first one we'll touch on is the third place winner, the Pathfinder Adventure Path Wrath of the Righteous. This campaign revolves around the Worldwound, a dimensional rift in the North of Pathfinder universe's fictional world of Golarion, and the dark forces that reside within it. They don't stay there for long, of course, as a host of demons is soon sent surging towards cities full of unsuspecting victims. It's up to the players to figure out how to stop the demons and save what is left of the world. They'll have help, of course, but not just from the standard suite of NPCs. Thanks to a canny tie-in by Paizo, the player characters will have mythic powers to aid in the smiting of demons. Overall, it's a pretty cool looking campaign and definitely worth your consideration, but Wrath of the Righteous ultimately pales in comparison to the scope of our other two campaigns for Best Expansion RPG release. Speaking of which, second place for 2013 is taken by D&D's Murder in Baldur's Gate. This campaign gets extra ballsiness for being part of the Sundering, the current Dungeons & Dragons Encounter series intended to wrap up the current iteration of the Forgotten Realms in preparation for D&D Next. Of course, by wrapping up, I actually mean causing a metaphorical and occasionally literal storm of chaos that will change the Forgotten Realms into new forms. What I really like here, though, is the player involvement aspect. Wizards of the Coast is touting the Sundering as an opportunity for players to, quote, help shape the future of Faerun and make their story legend, end quote. Now, I am not so naive as to think Wizards has no plan whatsoever for how this saga will end, but player choice in any form is really something worth paying attention to. And when that choice has the chance to span not just one world, but many, that's really something. You know what else is something, though? Pitting your fantasy character against a tank. That's what won the Pathfinder Adventure Path Reign of Winter, a Golden Bacon for Best Expansion RPG of 2013. Reign of Winter is already slightly different from your run-of-the-mill campaign in that your characters are exploring Galarian's frozen north and therefore need to be outfitted for, or suited to, the cold. However, when you build your character, you're probably expecting some vague approximation of fantasy cold, and not, say, a Russian winter. Well, that's what you end up getting anyway when 2/3 of the way through the campaign, the entire party takes a trip to World War I-era Europe. It's a move that manages to make sense in the context of the story, given that the players spend the bulk of the campaign searching for the Witch Queen Baba Yaga, but still feels out of left field enough to bring an energy to the table that none of the other winners in this category quite managed. For taking something that sounded like a crazy fanfiction and making it work at the gaming table, Reign of Winter gets to take home a bacon. Congrats! And that brings us to the last category, the coveted Bacon Award for Overall Best Tabletop Game of 2013. I've done a lot of talking already, so I'll try to keep it to a minimum here, but suffice it to say that these winners represent something really special. Something that gamers really should get out there and try to experience while they can. In third place, we have Modern Masters, the winner of the Bacon for Best Standalone TCG Release. Why did it win there, but place third here? Well, aside from Arcane Bacon Awards rules, the simple reason is complexity. Modern Masters is a fantastic product, but the level of intricacy involved with the cards and mechanics is just too high for anyone to pick up a box and play. Wizards acknowledged as much when they announced that the price point would be twice that of a regular booster to discourage people who didn't know full well what they were getting into from buying. And even though the real reason for the price point is probably because Cash Bro wants more of your money, it's still a legitimate point. If you're an experienced Magic player, though, and you have the chance to get in on a Modern Masters draft, do it. It's the best way to enjoy the set that there is. Second place for overall best tabletop game goes to Murder in Baldur's Gate. I just talked about this game a few minutes ago, but let me quickly say a little more about it. I think it was a great choice to set the stage for the Sundering in Baldur's Gate. It's a mainstay of the Forgotten Realms, with plenty of literature and even a few video games centered around it, so if you've even been on the periphery of D&D, there's a decent chance you've heard of it. The difficulty here is that even if you have heard of Baldur's Gate, the idea behind the Sundering, that it's the end of an era, can still be intimidating enough to hold you back from participating yourself. The fact that the campaign is made to be run with D&D versions 3.5, 4, or even D&D Next also means there's no guarantee that you'll know what any given play group is doing, which doesn't really help matters. But while it may stop a handful of players from participating, that doesn't stop this from still being an impressive offering that's worthy of note. The last presentee, the winner of the Golden Bacon for overall best tabletop game of the year, is Magic the Gathering's Commander 2013. Some of you are probably wondering right now, the fact that it's a Magic product receiving top honors probably comes as no surprise to anyone, but why this one? Despite being outshone by the lofty ambitions of some other offerings, Commander is the product that's most relevant to the most gamers and is likely to remain so for the longest time. Since its birth in Magic's judging community as Elder Dragon Highlander, the Commander format has steadily become one of the most popular ways of playing this game we love. One of the most common questions I've heard recently at big tournaments, small tournaments, and even casual meetups is, do you have a Commander deck? Releasing a product to capture that energy would only be logical, but Magic's makers went one step further. They made one that feeds the energy too. And that's why Commander 2013 is 2013's best tabletop game. Congratulations!
Okay, thank you, Brendan. And in addition to honoring creative works and entire industries, we also feel like it's important to honor those who have gone above and beyond even the Moment of Awesome award. Those who have made their entire lives one grandiose achievement. So here to present this year's Lifetime Achievement Award is Skyblaze.
Thank you, Gonzo. Well, in the vast universe of geekdom, there are often people who stand out a bit, who everyone knows of and respects. There are people who you like, people who you admire, people who terrify you, and people whose sheer talent and awesome just completely bowl you over. And then there is Christopher Lee, who is all of these things. One of the most prolific actors ever, having appeared in at least 275 films, particularly from the Hammer Horror Studio. He has played Saruman the White in the Lord of the Rings movies, where he was the only member of the cast to have met Tolkien in person. He played the villain Count Dooku in the Star Wars prequels, and he played Lord Summerisle in one of the greatest horror movies ever made, the original The Wicker Man. He was knighted by Prince Charles on Halloween 2009, and as of recording is the oldest person to have ever produced a metal album. Yes, you did hear that right, by the way, a metal album. He is also a direct descendant of Charlemagne, an expert fencer, mostly using sabre, and he was part of the UK intelligence service during the Second World War. The man is a gentleman and a badass, and he deserves our undying respect. So for all of these reasons, the Lifetime Achievement Golden Bacon Award for this year goes to Sir Christopher Lee.
And now to present the best and worst of 2013 in anime, we turn to the Cat. Cat?
Anime, the culmination of artistic license and storytelling. From epic battles to everyday adventures, 2013 brought us some incredible shows filled with incredible characters brought to us by incredible talent. Let's take a look at the best of anime released in the US in 2013. Our first category: Best Design and Animation. The look and feel of an anime are usually the first things that people notice. Some series go above and beyond to create beautiful worlds and characters through the artwork. In third place, Free Iwatobi Swim Club. Free began as a 30-second promo video made by Animation Do and Kyoto Animation in what was thought to be a quick demonstration of the studio's skills. The PV went viral and the internet exploded with activity around what was dubbed swimming anime. That PV was the earliest commercial for Free Iwatobi Swim Club, a 12-episode anime series centered around a high school boys swim team. The first thing you notice about Free's animation is that it obviously caters to the female gaze. The characters are handsome, yes, but they're also lean and fit and athletic like a swimmer should be. Character design aside, the animation in Free is really good. Pun intended, the animation of the water is fluid, beautifully smooth, looking as realistic as possible without throwing off the style of the series. The animation team clearly spent a lot of time studying the movement and lighting of water, and it shows in their attention to detail and overall quality. Free puts the animating of water on a pedestal, and it makes a beautiful show. In second place, Attack on Titan. Gorgeous and grotesque, Attack on Titan is full of beautiful movement and harrowing designs. The series features characters flying through the air, scaling walls, and other wide-spanning action sequences. The animators do an unparalleled job tracking that motion to create fluid movement. The 3D maneuver gear that allows characters to whiz about is animated with a different CGI technique that blends well with the rest of the animation and completes the dynamic and ultimately pulse-pounding action. Prominent in the series are the titular Titans, giant humanoid creatures that serve as the enemy of our heroes. The design of the Titans is absolutely creepy. Reminiscent of the paintings of Francisco Goya, the Titans are all naked with malicious eyes and horrifying smiles, drawing viewers in with morbid fascination. Overall, the series is well designed and well animated, with every yen of what had to have been a tremendous budget well spent. And in first place, Yami Shibai, Japanese Ghost Stories. Dark and macabre, Yami Shibai is a visually eerie anime to watch. The series is stylized to resemble Kamishibai, a form of visual storytelling that's endured since the 12th century in Japan. In Kamishibai, picture scrolls are moved across a backdrop to tell a story. A storyteller moves the scrolls back and forth to create motion. Yami Shibai is animated in much the same way. The characters look like pieces of paper being moved over static backgrounds. What movement there is in the series is rough and jilted, and there's very little body movement from any of the characters. characters, making them seem even more like solid objects. In a few instances, some characters are rotoscoped, meaning that actors were actually filmed and animated over. If that sounds like it would be jarring considering the paper-like quality of the animation, you would be right. In fact, it's terrifying. Adding fluid motion to the series emphasizes whatever unnaturalness is going on with the character, and in a dark series like this, it looks bizarre and otherworldly. The style itself is dark with heavy lines, muted colors, and subtle faded textures, making it look hand-drawn. Every aspect makes the series look like moving paper and enhances that horror-based content. Yamishibai boldly steps away from traditional styles of animation to introduce audiences to something rooted deep in Japanese culture and test the boundaries of what we would call anime. Best story. It's often said there are no new anime. Every story has already been told. I don't think that's true, and here are the shows that prove why. In third place, The Devil is a Part-Timer. When the Demon King Satan and his loyal general Alciel are nearly defeated by a mighty hero, they escape from their own world into modern-day Japan. The two must survive in this new land in any way they can while trying to get back home, and thus the great Demon King takes a job flipping burgers at McDonald's. While the plot is by no means unique sounding, it's the funny and charming way the story is handled that makes the show so likable. It's hilarious to see how well the Demon King handles working a degrading minimum wage job. It's exciting to watch other demons and heroes leap into epic battles, but the highlight of the story is seeing the heroes and demons learn more about each other, break down their assumptions, humanize the enemy, so to speak. The Devil is a Part-Timer is the perfect blend of action and comedy, with a few touching moments that aren't too sappy and darker moments that aren't too angsty. Easily one of the most lighthearted and fun anime of 2013. In second place, Samurai Flamenco. Samurai Flamenco is the perfect storm of action, comedy, and tropes. The story follows Masayoshi Hazama, a handsome male model who decides to fulfill his lifelong dream of becoming a superhero. Despite having no superpowers, no ability to build some kind of super suit, and no real physical capabilities at all whatsoever. Masayoshi's lack of skill in stopping crimes causes troubles for Hidenori Goto, a policeman he befriends who ends up having to bail him out of dangerous situations. Samurai Flamenco is the kind of realistic story of a fanboy becoming a superhero, and it going pretty much exactly how you'd expect. And while it starts small and grounded in reality, it slowly progresses into increasingly unbelievable circumstances until it becomes a full-on superhero show with super suits and giant monsters. The series is sort of self-aware, poking fun at superhero stories while in turn becoming one. It's a fun action series to get lost in and then jarred out of by particularly serious and thoughtful moments. Overall, a fantastic viewing experience. And in first place, Silver Spoon. Amid the sea of anime series with mindless punching or mind-numbing fan service, there occasionally comes a show that makes you think. Not deep philosophical kind of thinking that burns your brain cells trying to interpret heavy metaphor. No, I'm talking about the kind of show that makes you stop and look at parts of your life completely differently. In 2013, that show was Silver Spoon. The story is that of Yugo Hachiken, a city boy who decides to attend an agricultural high school in the countryside. Yugo represents the audience, a fish out of water thrown in an environment not well known by the average person. Through Yugo's slice-of-life adventures at school, we're taught about agriculture, and not in a way that feels like learning. Silver Spoon explores a world we don't often see with warm, honest, heartfelt stories, and what you learn stays with you. It's a rare, rare gem among anime, and my pick for 2013's Best Story. Best Voice Actor and Actress. It takes more than a good script to bring characters to life, it takes a voice. There are hundreds of fantastic voice actors and actresses, but only a few can be called the best. Best American Voice Actor. In third place, Sonny Strait as Arsene Lupin III in Lupin III, The Woman Called Fujiko Mine. 6 different men have played Lupin in the English. He's a legendary character, and most audiences have a solid idea of what he should sound like. Every actor brings something different to the role, and Sonny Strait is no different. The playful mirth and subdued energy blend together in his voice to give life to Lupin's personality. Strait's smooth, cool tones match Lupin's slick appearance, and he throws in a slight nasal quality that strongly reminds the audience of Yasuo Yamada, the Japanese actor who played Lupin the longest. Strait lives up to the iconic character with ease. In second place, Ian Sinclair as Toriko in Toriko. Ian Sinclair's booming voice starts as the perfect base for the character of Toriko. Sinclair isn't particularly known for playing super masculine deep voice characters, so his perfect performance as the ripped hunter who lives to punch giant monsters is a little surprising. Sinclair's voice is well balanced, gruff but not scratchy or too rough, deep but not unnaturally so. Toriko is a character of extremes, and Sinclair definitely brings the energy needed for it, but he also has a beautiful way of spewing some ridiculous dialogue in serious deadpan humor sort of way. All in all, a wonderfully well-rounded voice with the lasting power to take on a long-running anime like Toriko. In first place, Josh Greeley as Akira Yamada in Suritama. If you've listened to our last 2 Golden Bacon Awards, you may remember that Josh Greeley has won Best Voice Actor 2 years in a row. It could be favoritism, or it could be that Greeley is just that good. In Suritama, he plays Akira Agakar Yamada, the stoic Indian-Japanese agent of anti-alien agency Duck. Greeley's deep and serious tones are comedic gold in the light-hearted and silly situations his character is often thrust into. But Greeley doesn't stop at playing the perfect super serious agent. He also plays the character's pet duck, Tapioca. When watching the show, one phrase ran through my mind over and over. No one should be this good at playing a duck. Greeley has a way of voicing Tapioca without sounding like a cheesy cartoon. In playing both man and his duck, Greeley's two very different voices play off each other for a one-man comedy duo. Once again, Josh Greeley is just made of win. Best American Voice Actress. In third place, Lucy Christian as Marika Kato in Bodacious Space Pirates. Once again, Lucy Christian is among my nominees. I can't help it, she's adorable. In this case, she plays Marika, a student and part-time waitress who finds out she's inherited a space pirate ship. As per usual, Christian brings natural sound to the role. She doesn't pitch her voice too high, and she plays a bit with her dialogue to accent the scene. Sometimes she'll make her words a little musical to match the character's flighty nature, and she beautifully delivers well-timed gags. Christian's youthful energy stands out in the dub and creates an overall fun performance to watch. In second place, Jessica Boone as Izumi Akizawa in Another. When watching an anime set in high school, it's rare for a female student to be played with the natural voice of the voice actress. Girls are usually pitched kinda high up, but not Izumi. Boone's voice is a little deep and slightly flat, which gives the character an air of maturity and brings out Izumi's standoffish personality. But when it's time for the character to let go, Boone brings out all of that stored power and energy to express Izumi's bottled up emotions. Boone is a Shakespearean actress when not behind a microphone, which shows in her acting talent. Too often, dialogue in anime comes across as too hammy or underplayed, but Boone nails every scene with a perfect vocal performance. And in first place, Cassandra Lee as Yuki Onna in Nora Rise of the Yokai Clan. Oftentimes in anime, the female lead is an annoying high school girl whose voice is ridiculously high-pitched and irritating. We've all seen it, we've all totally hated that character. I don't generally like them, so I was surprised when I watched the Nura dub and instantly loved Yuki Onna's voice. It's that nice balance of high, but not too high. It doesn't strike me as a natural voice that a normal girl would have in real life, which I like since the character isn't human. Lee wonderfully brings out Yuki Onna's roller coaster of emotions, her cheerfulness, her jealousy, her dedication, her fearlessness. I know I say this a lot with actors, but it's clear Lee came at this role with a lot of energy, and she easily outperforms the other actresses in the show, and in my opinion, all of the other English actresses in 2013. Best Japanese Voice Actor. In third place, Ryota Osaka as Sadao Mao in The Devil is a Part-Timer. Ryota Osaka plays the role of the Demon King Satan who's been transported to Japan, where he assumes the name Sadao Mao and flips burgers at McDonald's to make a living. In his human form on Earth, he has a normal teenager voice, youthful and friendly, especially when at work in front of customers. But with a snap, his voice will drop to speak seriously on demon matters, and in the awesome moments that he takes demon form, his voice is a little rougher and deeper, but you never ever lose the essence of his character. Overall, it's a very strong performance that creates a likable, entertaining character. In second place, Kanji Tsuda as the storyteller in Yami Shibai. The storyteller is the narrator of Yami Shibai. He begins each episode by inviting the audience over and telling them what the tale is going to be about, and gives a quick the end to close each story. He gets in less than a paragraph of dialogue each episode. This wouldn't be particularly remarkable, except that for 13 episodes, this actor manages to say almost the exact same thing and make it sound different each time. And each time, it's incredibly creepy. At the beginning of each story, his voice is soft and slightly airy, almost sounding cheerful, since he's supposed to be telling his story to children. But when he closes each episode, which have dark endings, he sounds cold and sinister. He also speaks slowly and deliberately, putting slight pauses in his sentences to drag them out and add to the eeriness of the show. His performance is perfect for a series meant to totally creep you out. And in first place, Mamoru Miyano as Berg Katz in Gatchaman Crowds. Katz is a deranged alien who delights in chaos and hurting people. The character often speaks in an over-the-top silly voice with a slight nasal quality and very effeminate tones, but with the drop of a hat, he'll switch to a deep, serious, and very scary voice. Miyano was born for this role. It's like combining the outlandishness of when he played Tamaki in Oran High School Host Club and the cold, calculating, murderous Yagami Light from Death Note. His character likes to disguise himself as other people, and Miyano does a fantastic job of imitating the voices and speech patterns of the other actors. What I like most about his performance is that he brings so much insanity to the character. His strange way of speaking, the horrible things he says with a cheerful tone. You could turn off the picture, you could never see the character, and just through Miyano's voice, you would know that Katz is absolutely chaotic evil. Easily the most impressive and probably one of the most difficult performances of 2013. Best Japanese Voice Actress. In third place, Izumi Kita as Tomoko Kuroki in Watamote. You're gonna hear me say this with every female nominee, and I've said it for pretty much everybody, but this girl has energy, which you need to play a total spaz like Tomoko. Tomoko has immersed herself in media, and upon entering high school, is unable to comprehend why things don't happen for her like in one of her video games. Tomoko lives in her head, and often plays out fantasies in her imagination, which are great opportunities that Kita uses to play out different characters. When Tomoko, for some reason, imagines herself as a total badass sniper, Kita goes into a mature, sexy voice. When Tomoko imagines conversations with the girls in her class, she sounds like a confident young woman. But when Tomoko actually opens her mouth, she barely squeaks out a few quiet words. Kita masterfully plays the comedic elements of the character, bringing to life a deranged girl whose vocal capabilities change from scene to scene. In second place, Amikoshi Mizu as Ryuko Matoi in Kill la Kill. Ryuko is the leading lady of the fighting action series Kill la Kill. The character is a high school student hell-bent on finding the person who killed her father. Let's just start by saying this series is ridiculous, and it takes a certain caliber voice actress to pull off playing the main character. And for that, they brought in award-winning seiyuu Amikoshi Mizu, most famous for playing Karen in Code Geass, another badass chick. And badass she is, Koshimizu's voice is sort of grainy and brusque, almost passing for a young man's voice. She also speaks using masculine words in the show, in addition to a fair amount of swearing. This accents the rough and tumble nature of Ryuko and gives off a vibe that she shouldn't be messed with. What I love most about Koshimizu's performance is how over the top it is. Stamina and energy are obviously her strong suit, and it creates a flawless performance. And in first place, Maya Uchida as Hajime Ichinose in Gatchaman Crowd. Sorry, Gatchaman Crowds is just that good. Hajime is an odd, flighty character who says whatever's on her mind and acts on instinct rather than any semblance of logic. Here's that word again, energy. Uchida pours buckets of energy into the character because boy does she need it. Hajime's silly, she's zany, she's kinda weird, but perfectly voiced with every word. Uchida does wonders with Hajime's strange way of speaking, occasional sing-song nonsense, and childlike babble. Uchida breathes life into a character who breathes life into other characters through honest, playful conversations, and it's so entertaining to watch. Her voice is high and cute, but without being sugary, and her vocal antics are unmatched in humor and watchability. Hands down my favorite female vocal performance of 2013. Best Character. Anime is full of characters, clearly, but there are a few personalities who really stand out and make an anime great. These are them. In third place, Izumiko Suzuhara in Red Data Girl. Izumiko is not your average damsel in distress. Like a lot of females, I find the damsel in distress trope kind of annoying to watch. The clueless female lead whose only purpose is to be saved by the man. And while a lot of Red Data Girl can seem like that, I love how the series handles it. Izumiko was raised in near isolation at a Shinto shrine. While she attends a regular school, she destroys any piece of technology she touches and is often teased by classmates. Her parents are almost never around, and she's cared for by shrine staff and people assigned to her as guardians. Strange things happen around her, and she knows that she isn't normal, but she doesn't understand why, and the people in her life deliberately keep her in the dark. As the story progresses, so does Izumiko. She learns how to socialize with other people, speak her mind, and make her own decisions. Her character progression is well-paced, slow but realistic considering how she was raised. So while she is the classic damsel who's there to be saved, that's actually part of her character and not just her place in the story. It's something she tries to improve on and learn from, but she also recognizes that there are people in her life that exist to protect her, which she humbly accepts and respects. Izumiko is a different kind of damsel, and it's a refreshing break from the stereotypes we see so often. In second place, Masayoshi Hazama in Samurai Flamenco. Masayoshi Hazama is a male model who decides to become a superhero. That sentence alone doesn't make him seem like such an extraordinary character, but then you see him in the show. And then you realize that he's you and me. He's a tremendous fanboy. He grew up watching superhero shows religiously and collecting toys and wishing that he could be a superhero too. And then one day he decides to just do it. He's like a boy that never grew up. He has a beautiful idea of what the world should be like, and reality is an incredible disappointment. He sees injustice, even on a minute scale, and wants to correct it. And of course he's absolutely terrible at it. But he's one of those headstrong idiots who won't be dismayed by failure. I think he's what a lot of us nerds aspire to be. We know the world sucks and we wish we could stand up and change it. We wish we had that much optimism. We wish we had the time and energy and guts it would take to follow our dreams, no matter how ridiculous they seem to others. And Masayoshi just does. And in first place, Captain Levi in Attack on Titan. Levi is the stoic captain of the Special Ops Squad of the Survey Corps. Levi is cold and abrasive. He says what he means, and he doesn't care if it's insulting or not. Part of what makes Levi so likable is that he just doesn't care what people think about him. There are times when we're angry and we just want to tell someone off, but we can't because we live in the real world. But Levi, he doesn't care. He's considered the most powerful soldier in the world. If he doesn't like you, he's going to tell you to your face, and there's not a thing you can do about it. In addition to his brutal honesty, I think we also envy Levi's ethics. He doesn't care about political nonsense, and he doesn't show an ounce of respect to anyone who hasn't earned it. That being said, he passionately values human life and will not abide anything that causes unnecessary casualties. He's extremely loyal to his teammates and will hold the hand of a dying comrade. Levi is the ultimate badass, an unapologetic bastard who gets away with everything you wish you could, but with enough heart and humanity to keep him relatable. Fans love Levi so much he actually topped the character poll in Japan, so he is officially the most popular Attack on Titan character. So much so that last year not one but 2 side stories were developed for him, because we just can't get enough Levi. And finally, Anime of the Year, the best of what anime has to offer. In third place, Beyond the Boundary. I haven't previously mentioned this show anywhere in the awards. It's definitely a series that's greater than the sum of its parts. The plot is great, the story progresses nicely, and there's a lot of elements at play that cater, well, a lot to my tastes. Demons versus spirit warriors, big supernatural conspiracies, all stuff you see in tons of anime, just done particularly well in Beyond the Boundary. The show is also gorgeous. It kills me that I couldn't fit it into the best animation category, because it has beautiful seamless action, really cool looking effects, and fantastic lighting, which is an element that a lot of anime don't pay enough attention to. I also love the characters in this series. Their designs are subdued, but they're really well written. You like most of the characters immediately, and it's fun digging in and learning their secrets. The series has its faults, but in the end I forgive them, because this show is such a well-rounded viewing experience. It fits into so many different genres that anyone who watches anime should be able to enjoy it. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's just a great show. In second place, Gatchaman Crowds. The Gatchaman franchise began in the 1970s and has been a staple of the superhero genre of anime ever since. The newest incarnation plays slight homage to the original series, but stands on its own as a fantastic sci-fi anime. While this may appear to be a full-on action series, Crowds is actually a story and character-driven series, with outstanding visuals and just the right amount of fighting. The design and animation of the show are gorgeous. It uses vibrant colors to enhance the upbeat feel of the series, and the main cast are designed to stand out from each other and from other anime as well. And that cast is spectacular. The characters are a culmination of unbelievably well-voiced personalities that develop over time, and the 2 most prominent in the story, our heroine Hajime and our kind of anti-hero Rui, are such mirrors of each other, it's really just poetic. The themes that run through the show, free thinking, the value of all life, the necessity of compromise, all create these fantastic characters and story, and while the show is kind of underrated, it's absolutely a must-see series of 2013. And finally, in first place, Attack on Titan. This should really come as no surprise. Whether you like the show or not, whether you think it's revolutionary or totally overrated, it's impossible to deny the mountain of success that is Attack on Titan. The manga, which debuted in 2009, was a sleeper hit, becoming fairly popular without any notable media attention. But in 2013, when the anime debuted, it changed everything. The anime's high-quality animation, dramatic story, haunting visuals, and table-flipping cliffhangers hooked audiences instantly. And while the series had had its flaws and critics, Attack on Titan had breathtaking momentum. The series quickly spawned 2 OVAs and a string of video games. The popularity of the anime got people reading, and reprints of the manga were ordered in the millions. Demands for more content produced 2 new spin-off manga. Striking while the iron was hot, 2013 also saw plans for a live-action film adaptation finally come together. Availability for pre-made Attack on Titan costumes went from non-existent to widespread in just a few months' time. Fan-made videos and photo shoots reenacting scenes from the series made their way across the internet like nothing before, and for a while the show's intro became the new Guile's theme goes with everything, with an endless number of parodies flooding YouTube and other media sites. The hype around this series has been tremendous, and its followers are many. Without a doubt, Attack on Titan is the most prominent, most talked about, biggest anime title of 2013, and my pick for Anime of the Year.
Well, there was a slew of new games that came out this year, but Dr. Gonzo is only picking from the very best, so we turn to him for the Golden Bacons in video games. Take it away, Dr. Gonzo.
Thank you. 2013 was a big year for video games. We had a lot of great releases and many strong contenders for this year's awards. So without further ado, here are the Golden Bacon Awards for video games in 2013. As is the rule each year, for a game to win, it must have had its full and complete release within the 2013 year. So sorry, Walking Dead Season 2, you'll have to wait till next year. Best Gameplay. To be nominated in this category, a game must have exceptional gameplay mechanics, responsive and intuitive controls, and the game's system must be easy to learn while still offering a variety of options to the player. Third place, Gianna Sisters, Twisted Dreams, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Steam, and Wii U. This franchise from the Commodore 64 days has been accused of being a Mario Bros. Ripoff, and maybe that's true to an extent. Certainly, this latest entry to the series has inherited Mario's superlative platforming, with tight, responsive controls. Switching between Gianna's 2 forms is simple and adds a unique wrinkle of challenge to the gem-hunting platformer. Easy to pick up and learn, but tricky to master, Gianna Sisters' Twisted Dreams is a worthy purchase for any platforming fan. Second place, Grand Theft Auto 5, Xbox 360 and PS3. Grand Theft Auto makes a triumphant return this year with its usual high standard of play control. All the myriad ways to steal cars, shoot up gangsters, and just in general wreak havoc are present, accounted for, and tighter than a supermodel's bikini. Winner, Saints Row 4, Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. The only way to top the wide range of options GTA 5 presents is to go completely insane with them. Saints Row 4 does just that, taking the series' usual fare of carjacking, gunplay, and exploration, and adding superpowers. The addition of these supernatural abilities, the most notable of which are the locomotive abilities, super speed, wall running, super jumps, and the like. These abilities, combined with the world map that is completely open from word go, give the player a near unparalleled sense of freedom, allowing you to choose where to go and how to get there to a degree very few games have ever approached in the past. And it's for that reason that Saints Row 4 takes home the Golden Bacon for Best Gameplay. Most Improved Franchise Game. This is the award for sequels. To win an award in this category, a game must have taken significant steps forward from its predecessors and raised its parent series to a new level. This can be done by introducing new gameplay mechanics or refining old ones, higher standards for storytelling or presentation, and overall becoming the new standard by which future games in the series will be judged. Third place, Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies, Nintendo 3DS. Without betraying the somewhat lighthearted tone of the series, it would be very difficult to improve the storytelling of the Phoenix Wright series, so Dual Destinies instead took to improving its presentation. By abandoning the 2D sprites and backgrounds of its predecessors, Dual Destinies went full 3D, allowing for more dynamic character acting and expression. But Dual Destinies doesn't just put all its eggs in that one basket, introducing new mechanics like a perceived system and revisualization, giving the player new tools in their arsenal in the quest for justice. Second place, Tomb Raider, Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. The Tomb Raider series has had its ups and downs, but 2013's Tomb Raider reboot showed that this new Lara Croft definitely has a place in the gaming pantheon. Tomb Raider presented us with a credible threat to our heroine without resorting to the cartoonish supervillainy of previous antagonists, and presented us with a gameplay system that was functional, intuitive, and fluid. We'll let you make your own decision regarding the accusations of sexism within the game's story, but from a purely gameplay standpoint, this new Lara outruns the old Lara by a country mile. Winner, Pokemon X and Y, Nintendo 3DS. Pokemon has been accused, somewhat rightly, of being the same game over and over. But then, when a system has been working for nearly 20 years, how do you fix what isn't broken? X and Y answer this question by saying, you don't, you just bring in new stuff. While the core mechanics of catching and battling remain the same, X and Y brought trainers some valuable new tools for raising their team. Pokemonomy allows you new ways to bond with your Pokemon. Accessing online trades and battles has been dramatically streamlined, allowing you to initiate trades and battles with the touch of a button. And the new training gym function allows you to custom train your Pokemon's EV levels to whatever suits your needs. With the added ability of being able to customize your in-game avatar beyond the starting template, X and Y have finally allowed players to create an experience that could truly be called custom-tailored. Best writing. To win in this category, a game's story and script are what counts. Whether it's a strongly woven plot, compelling characters, or the game evokes strong emotions in the player, you have to make us care what happens, and these games did it the best. Third place, Poker Night 2, Xbox Live Arcade, PlayStation Network, and Steam. The first Poker Night at the inventory was a hilarious mashup of characters from various properties, and Telltale's Poker Night 2 takes the insanity to the next level. Sam from Sam & Max, Venture Brothers' Brock Samson, Evil Dead's Ash, and Borderlands' Claptrap each bring their own unique brand of crazy to the poker table, and having GLaDOS as the dealer is just icing on the cake. Yeah, Claptrap's squealing may be annoying at times, but that just makes it all the more satisfying to clean him out at the blinds. Second place, The Stanley Parable, Steam. A surprise hit from Steam Greenlight, The Stanley Parable story, while short, presents a thought-provoking study of choice and predestination with witty narration by Kevin Brighting. Each choice the player makes is accounted for in the narration, and it's not uncommon for the narrator to try and goad you away from your chosen path. Video games don't often get philosophical, but The Stanley Parable does it with aplomb. Winner, The Last of Us, PlayStation 3. If the game's story is meant to evoke emotion, then The Last of Us is a clear, hands-down winner. The relationship between Joel and Ellie is one of the most effective and poignant story arcs I've ever seen in games, and the depth and complexity of the characters have the high points making you cheer, while the game's sad moments are utterly devastating. You will be emotionally destroyed by this game, so take warning, but if you're able to tough out the hard moments, The Last of Us will present a story that you will be completely invested in. Best Indie Game. This award is exactly what it says on the tin, the best offering in gaming from either a single creator or a smaller studio. To win an award in this category, a game must present either a unique concept or a new spin to an existing one, show effort and creativity in its presentation, and above all, must come from an independent source. Third place, Strike Suit Zero, Steam. Flight combat sims are a rarity in this current gaming generation, making Strike Suit Zero and its accompanying side game Strike Suit Infinity a breath of fresh air. Placing you in the flight suit of a starfighter jockey for the United Nations of Earth, Strike Suit Zero balances traditional fighter dogfights with transforming mech action similar to Zone of the Enders. Players can choose what loadout to equip their fighter or strike suit with and must make tactical decisions with their limited weapon supply. With fluid controls and an unintrusive interface, Strike Suit Zero is a worthy purchase for any gamer, but especially for fans of shows like Robotech or Battlestar Galactica. Second place, The Stanley Parable, Steam. The Stanley Parable was a surprise hit from the indie scene, originally starting as a humble Source Engine mod. The game was given a full release through Steam Greenlight last year. Presenting a story that was wittingly told and presenting questions on the nature of choice within video games, The Stanley Parable is a worthy addition to any gamer's collection. Winner, Papers, Please, Steam. You wouldn't think a passport checking game would be a hit, but Papers, Please proves how much of a lie that is. Barely 30 megabytes large, with graphics that would seem at home in the 90s, Papers, Please instead relies on its subtle storytelling and character dialogue to engross the player. As a customs agent on the board of the dystopic nation of Arstotzka, you control who gets in and who gets turned away, being either savior or villain for hundreds of refugees. You can choose to overlook a paperwork error to reunite a husband and wife, or be callous and turn them away. And moving behind the scenes is Izek, a mysterious order of revolutionaries out to overthrow the Arstotzka government, which you can choose to help or hinder with drastic results either way, showing that even the smallest player can have a huge impact on world events. Best Presentation. Your game story is done, your gameplay mechanics are solid, now it's time to wrap it all up in a pretty bow. The award for presentation is judged on the criteria of graphics, sound and music design, and world building. Third place, The Last of Us, PlayStation 3. The Last of Us has already won the Best Writing Award, and that's in no small part due to its presentation. The game world is a devastated landscape, and the attention to detail to the characters and world go a long way to selling the idea that these people are on the end of their rope. The game is also light on music, which makes the tense moments almost unbearable, and the moments that do have music are even more effective for their scarcity, a design cue similar to the film No Country for Old Men. Also selling the story is the excellent voice acting, with veteran voice actor Troy Baker turning in a superlative performance as Joel and Ashley Johnson knocking it out of the park as Ellie. Second place, BioShock Infinite, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC. BioShock presented us with Rapture, an underwater city that became a victim of its own hype. It was a stunningly unique idea, so when Irrational Games announced the third entry in the series wouldn't be set in Andrew Ryan's destroyed Utopia, a lot of gamers wondered what would come next. We got our answer in BioShock Infinite's Columbia, a Depression-era cloud city, with a utopian mask that hid a dark undercurrent of racism, religious oppression, and blind patriotism. This time we got to see what brought down the Utopia, being able to explore the doomed city at its height before everything came crashing down. The attention to detail is clear, and the soundtrack, a mix of old-time gospel tunes and retro rewrites of modern pop hits, helped to make Columbia such a complete world, we're almost sad to see it fall. Winner, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii U. The Assassin's Creed series has always put a huge amount of effort into its world building, and Black Flag continues the pattern. Edward Kenway's world is striking and beautiful, looking like it's been lifted straight out of the Pirates of the Caribbean films. From the ramshackle look of the seaport towns to the costuming of the characters, the attention to historical accuracy mixed with a number of pirate film tropes make for an effective combo, and the musical score by Brian Tyler ties it all together. So weigh anchor and hoist the sails, Assassin's Creed 4 takes home the Golden Bacon for Best Presentation. Rotten Egg Award for Biggest Disappointment. Another one that's exactly what it says on the tin. To quote-unquote win this award, a game has to be bad. Atrociously bad. You would have to pay me money to get me to take this game bad. Runner-up, Aliens, Colonial Marines, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC. It's amazing that so many awesome video games crypt notes from the Aliens franchise, yet we can't get a decent Aliens video game. Bad gameplay, buggy AI, and a story that incomprehensibly and infuriatingly retcons the ending to the beloved film, Colonial Marines should have been the best shooter of 2013. Instead, what we got was a mess that had to be salvaged through a near complete overhaul in patches and fixes. The troubled development goes a long way to explaining this failure, the long development time showing the Gearbox did not learn well the lesson of Duke Nukem Forever. Now I know what you're asking, what could top that? Winner, Ride to Hell Retribution, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC. Colonial Marines was a stinker, but a troubled production can do that. Ride to Hell Retribution has no such excuse. There is literally nothing redeeming about this game unless you're one of those masochists who likes games that are so bad they're funny. A completely unlikable protagonist, absurd game mechanics, rampant sexism, idiotic enemy AI, and graphics that look like they came from the latter days of the PlayStation 2. It is so completely and horribly broken that game developer Utechnix doesn't even list the game on their website. If you paid for this game, I have to ask, why do you hate yourself so much? Game of the Year. This is the big one, the cream of the crop, the big cheese, the Super Bowl championship ring, the best of the best. These are the games that excel in all aspects of their creation, but only one can take away the trophy for Game of the Year. Third place, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC, and Wii U. Black Flag is easily the best entry in the series so far. Edward Kenway provides a fresh take on being an assassin to a level Connor never did. The presentation was stunningly detailed, and the character performances knocked it out of the park, all while retaining the series' varied but tight gameplay mechanics. And, like each of the games before it, it left me hungry for more. Second place, The Last of Us, PlayStation 3. A heartbreaking story combined with the terrifying gameplay we've come to expect of survival horror, The Last of Us shines in all areas of its production. You will come to be emotionally invested in the characters, to thrill in their victories and weep for their defeats. And with challenging gameplay, you'll feel the struggle to survive right alongside Joel and Ellie. The Last of Us is truly the jewel of the PlayStation 3's crown for 2013. Game of the Year, BioShock Infinite, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC. To put it simply, Bioshock Infinite is sublime. Its story presents us with a rich world falling from its cultural height, and Elizabeth gives us one of the most heartbreaking character arcs in living memory, going from an innocent girl ignorant of the darker side of her world to a woman nearly broken by the evils that surround her, most notably her quote-unquote father, Zachary Comstock. The game's ending provides a twist nobody could have expected, a tradition of the Bioshock series, and serves to turn Elizabeth from an innocent girl you had to protect to the most dangerous force in the universe. The gameplay is tightly paced but not too punishing if you screw up, and the game's world building and music design are without peer. It's sad that Bioshock Infinite will be the final release of Irrational Games, but as far as swan songs go, it's a hell of a way to go out. Shining above all others in its production, Bioshock Infinite takes the prize as the Golden Bacon Game of the Year for 2013. Alright, and now that we've presented all of our awards for the best and worst of 2013, the time has now come for us to take a solemn moment to remember all of those who cannot be with us here today. Here to present this year's In Memoriam is Skyblaze.
In Memoriam for 2013. Carmine Infantino, artist, age 87, died of natural causes. A Will Eisner Hall of Fame Award winner, worked on Flash, Green Lantern, Justice Society of America, and Star Wars. Dan Adkins, artist, age 76, died of natural causes. Cover artist for Marvel, doing 137 different covers over his career. Scott Clark, artist, age 43, cause of death unknown. Worked with Wildstorm in the early 90s before moving on to DC, working on Grifter and Deathstroke being the last books he worked on. Stan Lind, artist, age 61, cancer. Creator of comic strip Ricochet and Latigo in the 60s and 70s, and continued to work into the early 2000s before retiring. George Gladier, writer, age 88, died of natural causes. Worked mainly with Archie Comics and is the co-creator of the Sabrina the Teenage Witch comic. Zachi Talisha, writer, age 12. Osteosarcoma. After learning about his diagnosis, Zachi spent several months doing what he always wanted and published his graphic novel Hero Up before his sad passing in May. Lou Scheimer, producer, age 84, Parkinson's disease. Co-founder of the Filmation animation company that produced shows like He-Man, She-Ra, Brave Star, Fat Albert, New Adventures of Batman, and Shazam, to name just a few. Kim Thompson, editor and publisher, age 56, lung cancer. Was the vice president and co-publisher of Fantagraphics Books, based out of Seattle. Mike Dima-Yuga, artist, age 39, cardiac arrest. Works included Colt Noble and the Megalords, as well as Hero House. Robert Morales, writer, age 54, cause of death unknown. Writer for Marvel's Truth, Red, White and Black, a story of African Americans used to test the super soldier serum for Captain America. Charles Grigg, artist, age 97, died of natural causes. Artist for DC Thompson, he worked on the Dandy cover strip Corky the Cat and Desperate Dan after Dudley Watkins passed away. William Watts Biggers, novelist, age 85, heart attack. Co-creator of the animation series Underdog, also co-writer of the Hong Kong Phooey theme song. Robert J. Clark, illustrator, age 91, died of natural causes. Illustrator whose work appeared in Mad magazine and drew over 600 different articles for the publication. Al Plastino, artist, age 91, prostate cancer. Artist with DC Comics, best known for working on Superman from the 50s through the 60s. Also co-created the characters of Supergirl, Brainiac, as well as the member of the Legion of Superheroes. Nick Hardy, artist, age 93, heart failure. Awarded Will Eisner of Comic Book Hall of Fame in 2005, most notably worked on titles of Aquaman and Teen Titans for the DC Comics from the 50s through to the mid-70s. Quinton Hoover, artist for Magic the Gathering. Unspecified health problems. Did artwork for some of the game's first cards, including Wrath of God and Vesuvan Doppelganger. Tomoyuki Dan, 50. Recurring aortic dissection. Stage, screen and voice actor, best known as Chronicle Asher in Mobile Suit Victory Gundam and Kisame in Naruto. Also the voice of Christian Bale's Batman in the Japanese dub of the Dark Knight trilogy. Kei Goto, 31. Acute heart failure. Lead singer of the band Pay Money to My Pain, who performed songs for the One Outs and Buzzer Beater anime. Toru Hirayama, 84. Heart failure. Creator and producer of the Kamen Rider Kikeiman and Inazuman live-action tokusatsu series. Chieko Honda, 49. Cancer. Voice actress best known as Mariki Yue in Full Moon of Shagasite and Kozio Karo in Revolutionary Girl Utena. Toyu Ikeda, 38. No cause of death listed. Assistant producer of the Kaleido Star and Gatekeeper anime. Produced the Romeo x Juliet anime. Tako Ishamori, 81. No cause of death listed. Voice actor best known as Sengoku in One Piece and Yu Ishama in Gairei Zero. Also played the Sorting Hat in the Japanese dub of Harry Potter. Ryoko Kinomiya, 82. Multiple organ failure. Voice actress best known as Prometheum in Galaxy Express 999 and Aya Mifune in Mac Go Go Go. Often cast as a narrator, including in Cromartie High School, Nobunanga No Chef, Queen Millennia, and Saint Young Men. Ryutaro Nakamura, 58. Pancreatic cancer. Best known as the director of Serial Experiments Lane, Legend of Crystania, Sakura Wars, and Colorful. Goro Naya, 83. Chronic respiratory failure. Voice actor famous as Japanese voice of Clark Gable, Charlton Heston, and John Wayne, as well as the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars trilogy. Best known as his role as Inspector Zenigata in Lupin 3 franchise. Hiroshi Ogawa, 62. Stomach cancer. Character designer of the Crayon Shin-chan anime series and animation director of Queen Millennia, Maison Ikoku, and Thundercats. Jerry Russell, 77. Pneumonia. Voice actor best known as Tim Marco in Full Metal Alchemist and founder of the Stage West Theatre in Fort Worth, Texas. Jun Sadagawa, 31. Suicide. Creator and artist of the Noodle Fighter Miki manga. Kaoru Shimamura, 43. Breast cancer. Voice actress best known as Ran Asuka in Devil Lady. Torrin Smith, 52. No cause of death listed. One of the earliest English translators of manga, responsible for bringing over the most influential titles of the 80s and 90s. Kenji Utsumi, 75. Cancerous peritonitis. Voice actor best known as Senbei in Dr. Slump and Armstrong in Full Metal Alchemist. Also the Japanese dub voice of Steve McQueen and Jack Nicholson. Takashi Yanase, 94. Heart failure. Creator of the famed children's series Anpanman, and served as the head of the Japanese Cartoonists Association from 2000 until 2012. David R. Ellis, 60. Stuntman, actor and director, best known for Snakes on a Plane. Faye Cannon, 95. Died of natural causes. Oscar-nominated and Emmy Award-winning screenwriter and former president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Jane Henson, cancer, 78. Co-creator of The Muppets and wife of Jim Henson. Roger Ebert, 70. Cancer. Renowned film critic. Annette Funicello, 70. Complications from multiple sclerosis. Actress, singer, and pop culture icon. Ray Harryhausen, no cause of death listed. 92. Legendary stop-motion animator, for the most famous for his work on films such as Jason and the Argonauts and the original Clash of the Titans. Dr. Joyce Brothers, 85, respiratory failure. The first television psychologist. Esther Williams, 91, natural causes. Actress and swimmer best known for her work on several 40s and 50s musicals. James Gandolfini, 51, heart attack. Actor best known for his work on The Sopranos. Richard Matheson, 87, no cause of death listed. Prolific writer best known for the novel I Am Legend and countless other works frequently adapted for film and television. Lisa Robin Kelly, 43, complications from drugs after checking into rehab. Actress best known for her work on That 70s Show. Lee Thompson Young, 29, suicide. Actor best known for Disney's famous Jet Jackson and TNT's Rizzolian Isles. Ray Dolby, 80, leukemia. Engineer and inventor of the Dolby surround sound system. Tom Clancy, undisclosed illness, 66. Novelist whose work has frequently been adapted into film and video games. Paul Walker, 40, car accident. Actor best known for his roles in the Fast and the Furious films. Joan Fontaine, 96, natural causes. Actress best known for her work in the Alfred Hitchcock classics Suspicion and Rebecca. Peter O'Toole, 81, undisclosed illness. Celebrated actor most famous for the title role in Lawrence of Arabia. Richard Griffiths, 65, complications from heart surgery. Actor perhaps best known for his role as Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter films. James Avery, 78, complications from open heart surgery. Actor best known for his role as Uncle Phil on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and for voicing Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Hiroshi Yamaguchi, 85, complications from pneumonia. President of Nintendo from 1949 to 2003 and responsible for Nintendo's entry into the video games arena.
We will now have a moment of silence for these names listed above and for all others who cannot be with us tonight. Thank you. Okay, but we approach the end of our program where we are done looking back at 2013. So now we look forward to 2014. Although a couple months of it have already passed through, and we talk about things that we're most looking forward to in the coming year. So Skyblaze, start with you. What's the big thing that you're looking forward to this year?
Kingdom Hearts 3. Do I have to say anything else? Seriously,
Wait,
do you know how long I've been waiting for this fucking game?
Is that actually coming out this year?
Supposedly.
It was announced. I'm surprised.
Legend
That means
tells us.
nothing. Announcements mean nothing anymore. Just ask
The
Kat.
stars are
yeah,
right.
It's fans of Last Guardian will attest.
I'm sending you to the Pain Glove for making me remember that.
I'm kind of surprised, Skyblaze, you didn't mention the Sonic redesign.
Well, yeah, that's another thing I'm looking forward to. Seeing what they actually do with the new Sonic Boom series. So it has been confirmed, though, before anybody sends me questions about it, that it's not part of the main canon. It's just a interesting alternate universe. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that and seeing if Sega actually let them off the leash a bit and managed to let them develop the characters.
Boy, wouldn't that
Heaven
be amazing.
forbid.
Isn't that one of the marks of the end times?
Probably. Although they managed it with Sonic Satam. So we'll see.
Okay. All right, Kat. What about you? What are you most anticipating this year?
Well, I really hate to say this, but it's the exact same thing I was most anticipating last year because it's Sailor Moon, and it got delayed last year and delayed and delayed and delayed, and legend tells us it will finally come out this summer. That's when they've said for sure, kind of like they said for sure last year. But Sailor Moon, it's the big big whatever they're doing with it. The presumption is that they're redoing the entire show, more true to the manga, which will be amazing. And really, really can't wait for this to come out. All of us old Moonies, that's what we're called. We're called Moonies. Just have been screaming for this for years and years and years, and we're finally getting what we want, and they keep just teasing us, pretending like they're going to release it.
But this year's it. It's happening. Olmec has spoken.
Yes, it is said. Olmec has told us that it will come out this summer, and we will finally get to see Sailor Moon as it was intended to be, which will be phenomenal. It'll be great.
You know, I just thought of a great follow-up to the Olmec joke. Maybe that's why it didn't come out last year. It got caught by one of the temple guards. Only 90s kids will get that joke.
I was thinking it.
And now I'm sitting in my head trying to imagine which of the Sailor Senshi is which on which team. The blue barracudas and the silver snakes and the orange iguanas and the
I have
Red
absolutely
jaguar.
no idea what you're talking about. Either I'm too old or from the wrong country.
green
I'm
monkey.
not
Yeah,
sure.
you're from the wrong country.
No, was it green monkeys and purple parrots? Was there?
Purple parrots.
Well,
yeah.
anyway, putting the train back on the track. So the Sailor Moon 20th anniversary, which Kat has already laid down the law on, we will be doing a show on that.
Yes, as soon as it's out, or after it's been out for a little while, so we can kind of watch it and judge it, see if it measures up, and if it meets expectations of what fans really have been wanting for a very, very long time.
Okay, Brendan, what about you? Most anticipated of 2014?
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to in my particular domain is a set that Wizards of the Coast has been teasing fairly recently, especially with the recent pre-release for Born of the Gods. They inserted some cards from a brand new multiplayer-centered set called Conspiracy that looks really, really, really fascinating. And
this is for Magic?
This is for Magic, sorry. Yes, wasn't clear about that. Yeah, this is for Magic the Gathering. It's a multiplayer draft set that has all sorts of funky new mechanics that I'm really looking forward to breaking into. Aside from Magic, aside from cards and RPGs, oh right, Dungeons and Dragons, D&D Next should be coming out soon. I'm looking forward to seeing what the response is to that, especially after D&D version 4. Well, pretty much cratered in popularity comparison to 3.5, which turned into Pathfinder. So, yeah, sorry. I won't take up anybody else's time, but yeah, that's sort of a small sampling of what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. John, what about you? Most anticipated?
Oh, goodness. Well, this one may seem like a slightly odd pick to some people, and it's kind of strange. This is a movie that I reported in my headlines at some point when it was first announced, and I had a great deal of trepidation about it when it was first announced, and the trepidation just continued to build and build and build until we got the first teaser, and I so badly did not want to be excited about this movie because I expected to be disappointed. I still expect to be disappointed when it actually comes out, if I'm being completely honest. But I can no longer deny that I badly, badly, badly want to see this. And that movie would be Walt Disney's Maleficent, which is coming out in just a few months, starring Angelina Jolie in the title role. And if it does well, it is apparently going to inaugurate an entire series of live-action movies based around the Disney villains, because they've already registered a domain name for one called Cruella, and speculation is already running rampant about which other villains they may give the backstory spin to.
You know who I want to.
Isn't that just Once Upon a Time right now? Isn't that what that whole series is supposed to be?
I don't care. It's more Jafar.
You know who I think would be the ultimate villain film if they actually made a film centered around him. Bring back James Woods' Hades. Don't lie, you would watch the shit out of that.
My
Hades,
roommate,
Lord of the Dead. How you
Yes, you
doing?
gay friend.
My roommate and I were talking about that too, and we both agreed that the villain whose backstory we want the most is also one of the ones they can't possibly do in live action, and that's Scar from The Lion King. Because I don't know, from the very beginning, from the very first time I saw that movie, I'm like, there is a lot of history behind this character that we will never know. We'll never know why he has that scar. We'll never know why he isn't the king, because he's clearly the older brother. I'm just saying, it's obvious from the movie. He's older than Mufasa. But and it's obvious that he knows that he should be king, that he really feels like he was snubbed. So, but also, they can't do that because they can't do that.
I always just figured that it was just, as he says in the original movie, when it comes to brains, I got the lion's share, but when it comes to brute strength, I'm in the shallow end of the gene pool. In actual lion prides, the males fight for dominance. If he couldn't win, then in his physical fight, he was basically boned.
That's true. But
so yeah. National Geographic gives us all the answers we need on that score.
Well, National Geographic also raises some other facts about real-life lions that make that movie a little bit more disturbing. But moving aside from that, back to the one that's actually, coming out. Just if you guys haven't seen it yet, search on YouTube just the words Maleficent Dream to see the newest teaser trailer, which is set to this really amazing low-key, minor-key version of Once Upon a Dream. And this movie just looks gorgeous. And Angelina Jolie is absolutely perfect in the part from everything we've seen of her. And I can't wait to see it, but I'm still terrified it's going to be awful. So I'm going to call that my most anticipated and most dreaded movie of the upcoming year, because Maleficent is easily my favorite of all of the Disney villains. And the Disney villains are my favorite things associated with the entire company that doesn't involve the Haunted Mansion.
Okay, Brian, what about you? Most anticipated of 2014?
Well, I got a couple different things going for it. For comics, I am anticipating what Valiant is going to do. They actually were my publisher of the year back in 2012. They didn't get this year, but they were very close. But they've done fantastic since their relaunch and expanding out on their universe. And this year they're going to expand out again by reintroducing even more of the old universe characters and introducing even more series to it. And while that's great, I also love to see what all the other independent companies are doing, because like I said, they've sort of decided to grab all these new readers that everyone else seems to try to get to, and they're the ones actually bringing people in now. You have the big two sort of spinning wheels, but the independents, I think they're keeping people in the shops. But outside of comics, this year is also a big year. It's the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters the movie. And in this year, we're going to get a lot of really cool things from them. We're going to get a slew of new toys, including the very first Lego set. And not only that, we're going to have a re-release of the movie on Blu-ray. I hope also they will try to re-release the animated series as well. I know it's out there somewhere, but I actually want to see it physically in stores. So I can buy it and not, get charged an arm and a leg for said series. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this year. They're even going to have comics. IDW will be celebrating Ghostbusters in their comics with the storyline called Mass Hysteria.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, for me, I've actually got two, and one of which actually came out of left field. The first thing I'm really excited for is Elder Scrolls Online. This is actually the first time that an MMO has actually gotten me excited and seriously considering signing up for it once it comes out. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan. Whenever I'm not, if I'm not playing some other game, I'm playing Skyrim. So I am eagerly anticipating Elder Scrolls Online. And my other thing that's come out of left field is in April, the band leader for Nightwish is putting out a concept heavy metal album based on, hand to Bible, not making this up, the life and times of Scrooge McDuck.
And it's going to be amazing.
That's going to be hysterical.
I need this in my life.
I will not.
Until I
achieve
heard it.
I will not achieve any kind of lasting happiness until this album is in my possession. April this year is going to be second Christmas for me. And then after that is Junesies.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah, bad Hobbit joke. But yeah, the Life and Times of Scrooge. That is probably the most anticipated thing in the world for me right now. Actually, that's a lie, because you know what I'm anticipating even more than that? More episodes of Nerd to the Third Power, and we've got a lot of stuff planned for the coming year. We're about to enter into a really big growth phase. We've got our own website that we're working on. We're gonna have a lot of cool stuff there. More on that as it develops, but we got a lot of fun stuff planned for you in the coming year. All right, but yeah, thank you as always for tuning in. This has been our 2013 Golden Bacon Awards. 2013 was awesome. Here's to an awesome 2014. We will see you next week for our regular show. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the cat.
I'm Skyblaze.
I'm Brian.
I guess that makes me John.
And I, as always, am the Blast Seeker.
We will see you next week. Thank you as always for tuning in. Have a good one.